gentlemen, welcome to Wrestle Take. This is your host, the one and only, with Latin Daddy himself, the very OG. And then, of course, your other host. Yep, he's not dead. He did not kill his back. He is double. And I'm back. So, let's start this up. Here we go. Ha. Welcome. March 26th. You know, when you say it out loud, it goes by quicker. So, brother, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm doing well. Busy, productive day. Looking forward to talking wrestling and all those watching and listening. Let's have a great show.
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. We already got John hitting us up with some notes here. So he's like, "What up, fellas? Monday night was pretty good. I love the John Cena Cody Rhodes segment, and I like the stare down between Bailey, Lyra, and he liked CM Punk promo. I thought that one was better than the SmackDown one. We're going to talk about SmackDown. As far as NXT, wait, look, John. First of all, I think we all could say before we get started, NXT. Y'all are doing some God's work out there, man. Y'all really are. Stephanie McCoy, Jordan Grace stare down. That was real cool. And then just saw the TikTok game alone should also be acknowledged by the NXT women and Shawn Michaels too. Mr. Hickenbottom, you're a good man. I'm just saying, man. I was thoroughly entertained today. All right, look, we're going to get into it. So normally we like to break down the shows and break down each match, one by one. But look, it's now also WrestleMania time, and man, there's so much to cover. And after watching SmackDown, first of all, I want to say this. If you're a podcaster, you're not allowed to say the following statement. I'm getting to watch SmackDown early. Oh, I fell asleep. I ended up passing out. This was too much on me. Bro, I'm saying it as just a general acknowledgement. We are watching wrestling. We're not running a marathon. So relax. It's not that. I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing it all wrong. Don't do that to yourself. Don't overstress. You don't write the shows. All right. I got it. I'm just saying. I heard people upset. And look, we're going to talk about SmackDown. It was a snooze fest. It really was. So what? I'll let you get to lead off as I follow these the stuff here. But what do you think, Ladarius? What was your takeaway from this weekend of wrestling, or just or this week of wrestling?
I think some folks are coming to a realization, or a come to Jesus moment per se. I think we have to be honest. I think the build for a lot of these matches have been mid at best. And that doesn't mean I see Chris. I'm getting to watch SmackDown early. I'm falling asleep with too much talk. Yeah.
Yeah, Craig, I'm with you, but hold on. First of all, I gotta highlight Craig. I like that one. And yes, we all know my pet peeve now is Gunther. We need to do like a counter. We need to come up with a counter. How many times Gunther's going to try to do the lay down sleeper hold with Jay? It's like, dude, if you want to cuddle, tell your wife. You cannot be doing this to another grown man. It really needs to be talked about.
Jeez.
But go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Get it? No, I'm used to getting. Cuddle. It's in the contract. Oh, thank you, Craig. Craig, my wise man. Craig. We got to get Craig on here at some point. Like I said, great friend, just a good dude. Check out Craig's stuff. He's absolutely fantastic as well. Just to put I'm not going to be too long. I'll just say this. Like I said, the build to some of these matches are kind of mid. That doesn't mean the matches themselves are going to be terrible because, like I've said, I'm still into I still think Stratton versus Flair is going to be a great match. I still believe that. Excuse me. Cody and these matches are going to be fine.
Yeah.
Even Gunther versus Jey Uso is going to be a great match. It's the build, and sometimes it's one of those things where like, oh, the match is going to be great, but you just kind of have to do this to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're doing. It's like we just have to kind of get there, and we know we're pushing down on less than a month to get into that point. So, like I said, there was still a lot of good stuff and a lot of good. There was a lot of good stuff. It's just like I say, it's just like there's some other things in wrestling that kind of were interesting as well.
Yeah.
But I'll turn it
Sometimes
back
the
over to
off
you.
the ring stuff is more interesting than the on the ring stuff.
Yeah.
Man, and look, we'll talk about the spike in the road in that one. But look, I will say this: SmackDown started good because it wasn't Bologna in Italy, unlike what I thought originally. Bologna, Italy. I'm still thinking that's what they should call it, though. Said he was going to put Jay through hell. We haven't seen not one else during this whole feud. John, I'm so with you, brother. I really am. But we'll discuss that. I promise we will. And I'm hoping we're about to broach that with what happened on Raw. The slap heard around the world. But also, Randy Orton showed up. My God, I love Randy Orton. Before he could talk, and thank God, Randy Orton talking with the wrestler, great. Because he has someone to bounce off of. He could talk, he could be the open closer kind of guy. Randy Orton rambling in the middle of the promo, not usually your best strong suit. Because now Randy has entered that mold of a manhood where, God help us, he could say whatever's on his mind and he won't think twice. It's almost like I bet you the kids would say the same thing. Like, oh no, dad's talking. TNA, shame on you. We're going to talk about that too, actually. That's one thing I do want to talk about because I think Gail Kim, I'm intrigued to see where she goes. I think there's a big volume there. And then there's our co host, Miss Carrie from the Morning Madness crew. She's saying hey to both of us there, Ladarius. So,
Hey, Carrie, how are you? Hope all is well with you.
So good to have everybody just, you guys comment. We'll read them. We'll get to them. And we're going to talk about it. Look, basically, Kevin Owens had a great idea. Hey, Randy, I really wasn't trying to, paralyze you and kill you. But how about we team up against the Street Profits? Is what Randy. You know what, Kevin? You should have just started off with, "Yep, see you tomorrow morning," and then you should have just said, "Hey, I got a fantastic product here from ShamWow." I mean, I think you would have gotten a little bit better response. So, yep, Miss Carey's doing well. Thank you. I hope y'all are too. We are doing awesome. Grandpa Orton just look. If you haven't met the Ortons, trust me, they can ramble. And I could just see Randy is starting it. It's hilarious because that first promo he came back, it's like he hit that one joke. It's like, all right, kind of cool, kind of creepy. And then he kept on talking. It was like, someone reel it back in. Hurry, somebody, anybody. But anyway, we're going to get Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Now, I don't know about you, Ladarius. Because people are like, I don't need to see anymore. Just let's get to that match. Well, we do have a few more weeks to get to. So I don't think these guys is going to stay in the locker room and just not interact or anything. So if you don't like separation brawls and interfering, well, guess what? We're going to have them. But what did you think about it? And how excited are you about KO and Randy, actually?
You know what? I'm always excited. Like I've spoken highly about Kevin Owens on this show, and like how his character's just been fantastic. You're getting the remnants of Kevin Steen, and and Randy's Randy. You know, there's when you reach a certain pinnacle of your career, you can come out there and say pretty much what you want to say, and and the build for this, yes, Craig, yes. You know, had Gunther been doing the slab chop, I would have bought one years ago.
I actually had one. I actually bought one a long time ago. But
Because
yeah,
I mean, let me tell you,
would.
cutting them onions. Listen, you need a slap chop. Like cutting those tomatoes, you need a slap chop. Let's not screw with ourselves. You need it. But to kind of to not to be too long.
Yeah.
I like the way this is going. And listen, once again, it's one of those things. I know the match is going to be great. And listen, the build will be the build. And listen, Randy on the mic, yeah, there were some moments where you're like, oh boy, it sounds like your grandpa or your uncle, at Thanksgiving, he's telling the story that he's probably told every 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 Thanksgiving or every gathering. But you listen to it because you love your grandpa, you love your uncle, so you listen to it. That's Randall Keith Orton, and I'm just so I'm just excited for the match, and like I said, I'm curious to see what else these two are going to do on the mic and otherwise.
Oh yeah. I'm telling you, like I looked at the calendar and I'm like going, oh my god, we're literally like a week away to going into April. So it's like, it's like where has this time gone by so quickly? Um, and then time stood still because this show. All right, the promo itself I thought was really good. I was really pumped about it. People talking about Punk coming in. uh Drew McIntyre versus I felt like I was watching someone playing WWE GM where they ended up getting guys that are on a feud in a tag team. Hey, Jay Uso, Damian Priest are going to team up against Drew McIntyre and Nakamura, and I'm going, man, talk about randomizer. I tell you what. um Look, it ended with McIntyre beating or what was it? Yeah, Priest and Uso won because they beat, I want to say, what's call it, Nakamura. But you know, I know that we're gonna talk about. Oh God, yeah, we'll talk about the Charbot. Don't worry, John. Just give me a minute. I promise. But yeah, we're gonna Drew address people by talking about. Look, we haven't even really dug into this feud. Why I'm going after this guy? He's been the guy that's and he came with a great promo. And then later on, he did another one where he says he invited Priest to do something where, hey, pick my arguments apart. Where am I telling a lie? So, me personally, you know, I don't mind violence or I don't have a problem with, fighting each other. But I would like to see these two guys actually be in like a room where someone's moderating and basically let that be a case. And basically, all right, Drew has, brought this. Drew's like, what about this time? And have Priest go, well, you were so focused on CM Punk. And in the Money in the Bank, we all know you attacked the champion at his weakest. And it's not my fault that you wouldn't stay off of CM Punk. And, stuff like that. I think that would be really good because it would give Damian Priest a chance to come off like he knows what the hell he's doing and not always getting beat up. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. What say you, or maybe do you have any ideas, Ladarius, on maybe how to kind of, because I think you really need something to kind of, I hate to say it, but almost shine an idiot light on to the fans, going, look, this match is actually worth a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, that it's tough. What I
Yeah,
will say is that I mean I'm not saying you do like kind of a Miz TV sort of thing to have like a modern. I think it circles back to Damian Priest
Hmm.
and his work on the mic, and it's no disrespect and it's no knock because you know he's gotten better. But when you're in a feud with a guy like Drew McIntyre, who's been knocking it out of the park, I've said since last year, that's what makes it difficult. I think people, to your point, I think they can buy Drew at WrestleMania, and people tend to forget, Damian Priest was at WrestleMania too at one point. But
Yeah.
I think it's trying to sell people on the match. To your point, and to me, the best thing you can do is that for this particular, we've seen Drew, like we've seen the violence and the fighting and I think a legitimate, seeing Damian Priest kind of show that face in terms of be the face. Don't stop being a tweener. Be get it's to me it's the mic skill. And not saying he's terrible, but when you're going up against a guy like Drew McIntyre, I think if you make this into like a promo sort of situation,
Hmm.
I think it's better because if you're trying to fight a guy like Drew McIntyre on a weekly basis, it's going to look bad. And I don't think people can buy. And I'm not one of those people, but I think some people may not buy like Priest getting over on McIntyre.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people, not saying everybody's, like, oh, that can't happen. But I think some people are trying to convince, oh, yeah, Damian Priest could beat Drew McIntyre. And I think that's the key. The key is you want to have a belief that Priest could actually beat Drew. And I think that's what's not coming off. I think that's what may be turning people off.
Yeah.
But at this point, I'm just curious to see. Listen, I want to see more promo because at this point, I hate when you start putting these guys on the WrestleMania card into matches because then injuries start to happen. Then you still have, we still have shows to go before we get to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So like promos and light kind of situations, I think could suit it. But I would like to see more mic skills out of more of Damian Priest on the microphone, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm just saying break it up some because you can't. You know, I think the reason why I bring it up is because you had Drew McIntyre. Broke it down great. And of course, it has this. His view on it. Well, now let's have Damien's view on those same events. And we all know the old saying: "There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth." And that's kind of where I think you need to do that. And it's like, look, and then not just that, but Priest doesn't have to be like, look, I'm not trying to vindicate myself. You're the idiot that did this. I took my opportunity to beat you. You would have done the same. See, that's where you have to bring it back. And look, I think Damian Priest can't be the Undertaker, but man, he's got that presence, and I do like seeing him. I like the style, and I'm not trying to crush this guy. I think he's going to be one of those. Um, I put the comment up because you know, you know, we had Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. After that match, then we had the Charbot had to talk, or the android got to do a promo with Tiffany, and Damien can cut a promo. It's just his in John. I like Damien's work. I'm one of those guys. I'm actually have I've he's won me over. It's not like he's gonna. Sometimes you're not gonna be the best. It's just do you improve throughout the time that you're there, and I think he has. And not only that, if I'm not mistaken, he's in his 40s. So he's not like that's also something to think about. This guy is he's earned it. I think he's earned his shot, and that's all I'm saying. And I think him and Drew will really have a good, solid, big man match. But yeah, Strong Strowman versus Fatu. Before the match even started, Strowman brought up to LA Knight the winner of this match is going to get a U.S. title match. So in my head, I'm thinking it's Fatu because I'm like Strowman ain't won nothing. and then Solo Sikoa decided to get his boy disqualified. And by the way, Tama, you are doing God's work because you got yeeted like you yeeted the Ring of Honor TV title. And I'll tell you what, man, I think you went farther, but my God, Fatu going off on Solo, I was enjoying it. But in all that, we find out that LA Knight versus Braun Strowman. Look, I'm not going to be real honest. I don't really care about this match. I don't even think there'll be a finish. But what do you think we're going to see out of this U.S. title? Are we going to end up seeing all four men involved in the match at WrestleMania? Maybe. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're going to have a situation where it's going to be LA Knight and Solo Sikoa. Those two, I feel confident. Now, you could make it a triple threat and throw in Solo. You could also make a case for, I think, ideally, just have all four dudes have a fatal four way. Simply because I just think it would make a lot more sense because what I saw out of Jacob towards Solo, there's friction. Obviously, there's clearly something that's been there for a minute. If you've been watching SmackDown, so I'm not surprised at the way Jacob went off on Solo because Jacob feels like a star, he acts like a star, and I would not be upset if if he wins the U.S. title. If that's the end result of all of this, I'm okay with it because like I said, you could tell when he first arrived at WWE, like, oh man, that guy looks like a star.
Mm-hmm.
And if you build the match correctly, I think the LA Knight and I think that it's going to be, it's not going to be a finish. It's going to be a DQ at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
And so as for WrestleMania, I'm all for a fatal four way because I don't see how. Jesus, Craig, that too, Craig.
Hold on, I got it.
That too, Craig. Listen, that kid's got to start in basketball lineup and two on the bench. Yeah, you got to feed him. You
He's got a deeper family than some teams have in the NCAA tournament.
know, listen, don't get me started on Tyreek Hill. That's an actual roster. But
He's trying
anywho,
to start his own bloodline.
man, that's going to take at least 4 years to tell. But yeah, I'm all for the fatal four way. It makes a lot of sense. Even I'll put it this way: I love LA Knight, but I putting him back on the belt, just kind of him holding on to it, take it to WrestleMania, face. If we get LA Knight and Jacob 1-on-1, I wouldn't be upset at that. But I don't think that's the route they're going to go. The fatal four way makes a lot more sense. Even you can take if you take Braun out of it, that's okay. But I think we're on track for a fatal four way, in my opinion. Based on, I think there's going to be a no finish between Knight and Strowman.
I so and you notice I'm trying to stall because God. All right, look, let's talk this crap. That's so you have the android in her charging station, and then you have Tiffany Stratton. This is what I've been aggravated with. Tiffany Stratton is still the same when she first came from NXT, Barbie Girl. All right, and I've said you have to kind of develop. You got to bring this baby face out. Then you had Charlotte, and it almost was like she did this interview on autopilot. And here's the thing: people were like, "Oh, but she was speaking with great emotion." No, with all those surgeries that woman has had, emotions has been wiped from that memory bank. She is like, "Hi, I am Charlotte, the android. I work for what I have." All right, look. I mean, the things she was saying, let the queen speak. And I'm just like, and everyone's like, well, she probably has script. Look, Charlotte has been in this business, has wrestled everybody. She's been in these. This woman knew what Tiffany was going to say before Tiffany could even say it. And my only issue I had with Tiffany is everything was right there when she's like, "You've never earned anything." That's the doorway you needed to just go, like you. Last I checked, if your last name was Smith, you wouldn't be in this business. Your last name is Flair. I'm pretty confident you were able to get in there. And then, hello, we call it the Charlotte in the Bank when you show up. Hey, I get a title match. Why? I'm Charlotte. How long will it last? Maybe a day, maybe 2 days. We don't know. But I'm Charlotte. The only difference is this go round is you're an android. You do not have no feeling. Because if you did, you would feel bad for Andrade. And we still don't know where he's at. She had opportunities to go in on Charlotte with being above the line. Now, what I just said probably would have got myself in a meeting or two. But then again, I don't care because I am who I am. But that's what I'm saying. There has been no development of Tiffany Stratton, and I really am concerned. What is next for Tiffany Stratton? And God forbid if she loses. I am really concerned about this because so far Charlotte's had everything on this, and the attacks, and then the stuff, and it's like, yeah, Andrade's the only famer dating website that is where he is. Hey, look, we will not talk down about Andrade. He's the victim. Um, if you look at the past that Charlotte has with certain guys, you would notice there's a common theme. Andrade was the one that wasn't that one thing. Just saying. I'll let you figure it out. Just go Google it. So, but yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, can't get worse. It's not that bad. And then we got Zelina Vega and Piper Niven. Now, number one, Ladarius knows I've been on board. I love Vega. I want her to challenge for that U.S. title. I think she'd make a great U.S. champion. I think she'd make a great mid card champ. I think with working with Rey Mysterio, people believe in her. She has kind of gotten that, oh man, underdog Rey Mysterio feel. Even the music, I was like, don't change nothing. And then they started with some music I've never heard before. I gotta say this right now. Death Rebel, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. I need somebody that has an inkling of music to please take over. Because these Death Rebels are deaf. They don't need to be working in the music industry. They don't need to work at Walmart. They don't need to be working at Aldi's. I want them to stay the hell away from Turtles and Blockbuster. You name it, just stay away. Because these guys don't know music. I'm sorry. There must be millennial idiots because they're just like going, hey, we can do this. Fuck this. Role model. Okay, it works. I was like, what the heck am I listening to? Love Piper. I love, oh my God, Alba Fire is the greatest secret agent ever. This woman is the greatest secret agent. I love Chelsea. The match didn't need to be 15 minutes. I would, or as many segments as they took. They didn't need that much, but they did. What was your thoughts on the match? And what did you think about my mini rant on the music?
It was a match. It was a good match, and I'm not gonna go into the Death Rebel thing. I'm not gonna get into it. To me, I like what they're doing, developing. Like people are focused on. Like, listen, we still don't have a path to who Chelsea Green is going to face at WrestleMania, and that's done by choice.
Yeah,
Because you have an idea, kind of who maybe. We all know if we're going for the heavyweight. We all know for tag team, we don't even know. But for this particular mid card belt, we simply don't know. And I think Alba Fire's school teacher outfit was pretty cool. Okay, John. Jesus.
Hey, she's a secret agent, and she is protecting Chelsea Green. All right, that's Secret Herbert's sake, service agent Herbert's. She's doing a dang good job. That's all I gotta say. Your wise man. I'm gonna agree with your wise man again.
Yeah. Thank you, wise man, for coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it was an okay match, and I'm just curious to see how I'm just curious to see about the United States title picture and how it's continuing developing as we get to WrestleMania. And listen, it's going to be interesting. And like I say, this match, it is what it was. But I'm just more interested in seeing how who Chelsea's going to face. That to me is the intrigue. And could it be Zelina? Could it be me? You can go a lot of different routes. But like I say, Zelina is a singles champion. She will be a singles champion at some point, and we'll just kind of have to see where that goes.
I got a crazy idea that could shake some things up. I would put Raquel in a like a fatal 4-way women's match for the U.S. title. You have Liv go for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm just saying. I It's just me being, because I gotta kind of have to have Liv in WrestleMania. I just got to. Liv she's been doing God's work. Her and Raquel, both of them. We'll talk about them on Raw, but my lord. All right, Liv Morgan goes against uh, Jade Cargill. Now, earlier, Liv and Rachel, Raquel, they made more sense in the fact of why didn't Jade, make it clear that we were not guilty. And I get it. Because you know what I love? Really good heels, you can actually look and go, they got a point. They have a point. All right. So I'm not going to crap on that. All right. They messed with Kathy's hair. And, so they're doing what heels do. About time, by the way. Women, look, if you're a woman and you're a little taller than Kathy, mess with her hair. Whatever. Okay? Get mean with her. Because that gets people mad because they love Kathy. Hello, we don't you see her TikToks? But so that's what I'm saying. Now, then they go to the next segment with Jade. There's a reason why I say some people need to learn how to be a babyface before you even put them in a role. Jade had the look of cut the shit, Tony, without being able to say cut the shit. Because Kathy's like, I'm sorry. You know what, Kathy? You should be. I'm like, oh my God. No, you did. And people are saying I cannot root for Jade. And I'm going, they're saying all this stuff, and then they say, I can back up Chelsea, and then, or not Chelsea, but Naomi, and I'm going, but Naomi threw her into a car, and you're saying you would rather go with the person that attacked versus the one that got beat up? Huh. Man, we need to fix this. So look, Jade loses, which is really rare. Love that Naomi came in. By the way, love the outfit, caution tape. Obviously making fun of the whole incident. Because someone was like, "Oh, was Owen Hart? You were shouting out Owen." She goes, "No, it was the one thing missing in the Jay Cargill thing." And I'm going, "Oh, I like this. Attention to detail." So there are things I like. Jade, if you're going to be the face of this, I need you to learn how to be a face. Smile and not look like you're being tortured to death. Okay? You're gonna, because this is the role you're in. Um, so I hope to God they can fix this or at least work with her because man, that was hard to watch. John, to break up the monotony here, and I'll go to you, Ladarius, after this. But Mariah May's contract's up in the summer. we can't. Why do Mariah versus Chelsea? Oh, well, look, we could, but my thing is this: it depends. We don't know if the contract is up, as in a legit up, or are they going to put options on it where she could come, stay longer? And look, here's the other thing: she hasn't said anything, so if she stays, they can offer her whatever, and then we'll see. With Mariah, it's going to be one of those what she wants because I think, um, me personally, I don't know what else you could do in AEW after the feud you had with Tony Storm and you won the women's title and they did nothing with you. What makes you think they're going to do anything with you the second go around? That's just my opinion. All right. So Ladarius, again, we're back to back women's segments. So what did you think about the Jade Cargill? And maybe I'm blowing it up, but I just that's just something that I'm really it really because I heard a lot of people talk about it and I'm just going and then yeah, go ahead, go. And then we'll talk. There's another thing we'll talk
You know, I get your point about Jade. I don't think that. How can I phrase this? I'm okay with it, and because here's the thing: the way it's going, we all know that Jade's the face. Now I see your point about kind of acting like the face, but see here's the thing: you I mean, how do we go about defining a face? Because here's the thing: you mentioned Tiffany Stratton earlier.
about. Yeah.
And my thing with Tiffany, and this is the thing I always say, and I've said, and let it's Jesus, Craig. I'm trying to talk here. Oh,
I'm sorry. That
Mariah
was
may come
funny.
over, Mariah may not. Jesus,
I saw that one. That's funny. Sorry. I apologize. That was your wife.
and I'm done. No, and that's my time. No, my whole thing is this: when it's the approach that I think we're seeing is that we're letting wrestlers be wrestlers.
Hmm.
That's my whole thing with with the Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte Flair is let them both be who they are, because let Charlotte be the heel. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know, and Tiffany Stratton is the face. They don't have to change her gimmick. I think it's just maybe she could be. Yeah, I'm not going to be nitpicky, but going back to Jade Cargill, I think the issue is that hey, she's gonna come around. I'm not super worried because I think because if you think about it, she's never been a face until she came to WWE, which is the AEW. She was always the heel,
Yeah.
and sometimes it can be difficult to make that transition from being a heel to face or face to heel. Now, and Craig said, Uncle Dave says, who the heel is and who the face is doesn't matter. Well, Uncle Dave.
Oh, we'll talk about him too.
The only Uncle Dave I support is the Uncle Dave from Beverly Hills Cop. I believe was it four? Yeah, when they went to Wally. That's the only Uncle Dave I support. That Uncle Dave you're talking about, it does matter. And contrary to what popular belief is, it does matter because here's the thing: are there certain exceptions? Have we seen faces, face versus face? Yes. Have we
Yeah.
seen heel versus heel? Yes. But of course, John's gonna agree with CW. You never agree with me, John. No, I'm joking, John. But here's the thing, and I'll say this, and then I'll stop talking and let CW talk, and I'll just go back to whatever I was doing. I'm not getting no love today, but
I love
no. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, John. And my biggest thing is this: how do you define a face? If you can give me a clear cut definition, then I'm not disputing what CW is saying, not one bit, because his points are valid. My thing is that it's hard to transition for some people
Yeah.
from being a heel to a face and a face to a heel. Like think about like John Cena. was a face for 2.5 decades,
God, yeah.
and all of a sudden he's a heel. And the only thing that changed from John Cena is just the demeanor that he talked. That's it. The words were different. He delivered the promo the same way he was as a face. The only thing that changed was the demeanor he carried it out.
Yeah. It's capable.
And that's because he's so great on the mic, he can do that sort of thing. And that's something Jade maybe does have to learn to be a better face. But my point is that in this Bianca, listen, in this whole little thing, Jade's the face.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: Naomi's the heel, Jade's the face, Bianca's the tweener.
Yeah.
We don't know, and and well, see,
John, I'm gonna also answer this because there's a couple of things that is not being
well, you
brought
know,
up.
I'm gonna stop talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, let me bring this up. Let me
No,
bring
go
this up
ahead. Go ahead.
because
Go ahead.
you have said something great. Is how do you define a face? Okay, no, please, because I want to make sure you can hear me or talk back to me. So that's why I did that.
No,
So
go ahead. Go ahead. No, listen, because
okay, cool.
apparently, I'm just
No,
gonna sit
no,
here
no.
and drink my water. No, I'm not upset.
Okay, no.
I'm not upset. It's just that I go ahead. Go ahead. Before I get canceled, just go ahead.
Okay. Well, no. When all right. So with Tiffany Stratton, the face part, when I was talking with that, got to evolve a little bit. I don't want her to totally ditch the Barbie girl. Okay, because she can make it work. I want to see it. Okay, I want to see her just, if anything, just be a little wisecrack. Okay, just look. You have that flexibility because you are a heel, so you could go to that realm. You see what I'm saying? She's not like overly faced, but she's done it. She's won the crowd over with what she's done. So there you go. Now Jade, on the other hand, is different because she was gone for a bit. And what I mean is with Jade, you got to work with her on that because there were points you looked at her and you just wanted to go, "Are you okay?" Like s- sometimes you just like I'm like my kid would tell me back in the day, "Dad, are you happy?" "Yeah, why?" "Smile. It's okay. It won't hurt you." That was my kid saying that to me. So I'm just saying, you know, something, you where maybe softens that edge that she has. Now, look, I'm not asking her to high five all the fans and get everyone to love her and everything. Now, on Twitter, Jade on Twitter, I love it. I want, because it's almost not like a cry for help, but more like she's trying to figure out the puzzle. But she can't figure out the puzzle unless she has all the pieces. And this past week where she was going on with Bianca, and this is where we're going to talk about Bianca on Raw, kind of being that tweener, kind of being the heel, because you're not being totally upfront. It's very coincidental. You left SmackDown to chase this gold while I'm here trying to figure out what the hell actually happened. Think about it. Oh, have you heard any news about who attacked Bianca or who attacked Jade? And you know, Naomi's like, no. So why didn't why didn't Bianca go out and look? Because that's your tag team partner. So that's where I'm like, so I say for Tiffany, I need her to evolve a little. For Jade, you're about to make this whole storyline and make Jade the feature part. She's got to be able to show she can play that babyface role. Um, but I don't want her to lose the edge that she is. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? That's what I'm asking. I'm just
I'm you know, to be honest, I'm done with it. because I'm reading there's nothing I can say to do anything. So let's just move
No,
on.
no, no, you're not wrong.
No. I'm not trying to start an argument.
Okay,
I'm
no,
looking at the
no, I'm
comments,
not saying
and
you
based on what I'm reading, it's nothing I'm going to say is going to be right or wrong. So I just rather move on. For the sake of my mental health, we're just going to move on.
are. Okay, it's cool. Look, as long as you know I'm not mad or nothing.
Because the thing is, no. I'm not getting mad. It's just this is when I'm trying to make a fucking point.
Yeah.
Is that I never said that. All I'm saying is how to define it. You defined it, but what
Yeah.
I'm saying is that if certain people in the comments don't like, I just rather move on
Okay.
because I just rather
All right.
move on.
All right.
I just rather
Well, we're
move
gonna
on.
be look. I will say this: we're gonna be talking about some issues that the fans really brought up that made. And I know me and you both were talking about it, how we were aggravated with it. So, and I still want to talk with that. So let's see. Give me a minute. Okay. Sorry, I hit the wrong button and I lost track. All right, we got the another advertiser about the Ray Phoenix. Looking forward to that. And also Alistair Black. Well, we think. Lars Gazas and Street Profits. I'm going to ask a question. Tell me what you think. Is Montez Ford one of the secret gems in the world? Because I swear to God, this man needs to be pushed. I look. I like when he's on the mic. I think there. I know people said, "Oh, he's too much." Dude, this man's got so much more charisma than Will Ospreay. I know Will Ospreay has had all these matches and everything. I say you put Tez in that same field. Tez would actually just go do more. But and also Dawkins, I really am liking the Street Profits. They have come back, even though they came back with a rougher edge. I just still enjoy watching them work. What about you?
I'm just trying to calm myself down.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm going to say this. Craig is making the point that I was trying to make about the previous things. But
Okay.
I promise I'm not going to speak any further on it because I'll be a man of my word. It's just that if anywho.
Okay.
But
No,
you no because I'm still a little agitated about earlier. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I still am. But
all right.
but going back to your point about you know the Lost Garces
Mm-hmm.
and the tag team, or you talking about Montez? My train of thought is
It's all
I'm
good,
off the track. So
brother.
you got to get me back
All
on
good.
track here.
I got you. Don't worry about it. So again, I was just bringing up about how really, you saw the spot with Tez, but really it's just you just see this guy, you see him popping off the screen. He's worked on, he's impressed me more because of the fact that here he's been in a tag team. Yeah, he should be on his own, but he's still in the tag team. But man, you give him the same kind of chances that other guys get, I'd I'd be strapping that everything to the man. I think he's that good of a wrestler. And I,
You
I,
know,
I still
go
like
ahead.
Ford too. His partner, Dawkins.
Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting dynamic if they did kind of separate them because it was an idea I felt that was kind of tossed around, and we talk about on the show a lot about when Ford, when the Elimination Chamber match a couple years back, it's like you could see it, like that guy's a single star, and like Dawkins didn't get talked about enough, but in the but when you see him in the ring, he's a big guy that can absolutely move. He's on, to me he reminds me of like the War Raiders. I don't know if Eric or Ivar, like he just absolutely just do things that a man his size has no business doing, and
Yeah.
which is a huge asset because it's a shift away from when we used to see big men. We used to watch wrestling, like I don't want to use the word one dimensional, but we're starting to see this. We're seeing big men in the growth of athleticism.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I see from Angelo Dawkins, and that's why I say that's what makes them a great tag team. Is that they're different. And what makes a great tag team is that you're different, but in sync at the same time. And and the thing is, like I said with Montez, I think somewhere down the road, I we might see a singles run, but I think at this point it makes sense for them to be the tag champs. It makes sense for them to be in the position that they are. But I wouldn't be shocked if they kind of floated the idea around of making Montez a single, kind of see how they are separate. Because we've seen in the past that they have no problem separating tag teams. So look what they did to the Usos. Look what they did to the New Day. So I think the Street Profits may be the next team up. Maybe we could get that split, especially. And like I said, and you mentioned, don't sleep on Dawkins. I think is the big takeaway as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, personally, it's like this. I would be fighting to also be pushing Dawkins at the same time. I don't want him to get forgotten. Um, you know, although part of me would actually look at Dawkins and just ask him, would you work with Carmelo Hayes? Have them
Yeah.
work. I mean, because look, it's just an idea. That's all, and it doesn't have to come into fruition. It's just one of those things. But I'm just when I see the profits, I think perseverance. Like these guys deserved so many opportunities at the time, and it just never came through. And I felt for them. By the way, you're a friend of yours there, Miss
Hey,
Tootsie Pop.
Rachel, how are you? Thank you for joining, Rachel.
Hey, fam, what's up? It's always good to have people over. All right, karaoke bar happened, and oh, hold on, wise man speaks. I'm gonna have to have like a we need like I'm gonna have to find a wise man sounder so we can for Craig because it's now. But yeah, agreed. I do think Montez could be a great solo wrestler down the road. If they let him. Dawkins needs more uh, my time to show that. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Like I said, I when I first saw the Street Profits, I didn't think much of them, and then they kept working, 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 and I was, it's like sometimes it may not be the what you like, and then by the you know, come 6 months later, you end up cheering for them and saying you want smoke. So that's just the way. Hey, and that means you're doing your job if you can get fans to be interested in you. All right, so karaoke night happened at the main event segment. So let me explain. Roman Reigns comes out. He wants people to acknowledge him. He rolls up the finger and then tells everybody either no pop or hold on, what you call it? Just so you said, me didn't apologize. My God, didn't mean to make it sound like you were wrong. So, all right. So John was apologizing there. So, but yeah, Roman doing his thing, and then Roman bringing up he's mad at CM Punk for eliminating at the Royal Rumble. I want that to be held there because then Paul Heyman's favorite theme music had to come out, which was Seth Rollins. And as I told Ladarius this morning, I don't know who hates Seth Rollins' theme music more, Punk or Paul. But either way, they were both competing. Uh, and of course, he didn't have the red oven mitt on; he had the blue one. And they start talking. Seth, says his thing, and then he's like, "We need to take this to another chapter." And apparently, you know, they played Careless Whisper because Seth started stripping down. I didn't understand this. I don't think he really got the memo there. Um, but CM Punk, thank God, saved the day because he got his music on. They were singing that one. And look, I get it. I just wanted one guy to come out and just say, cut the music. I'm sorry, but I'm here to conduct business. I need to get at these guys. But, we had Punk. Punk brought up the fact, and I got to go here. I love when Punk is the guy he is. All right. He looks at Roman and goes, oh, okay. That's what he said. So I'll read that comment again. So just give me a second. So Punk basically says, I eliminated you both, but didn't I save y'all's family's butt? at War Games, and to be honest, he saved Roman from the tsunami from the top of the cage. So I mean, I remember that because that poor man broke his ankles. I want to say on that one, but look, they get in a fight and they all point at the sign. I love Paul Heyman saying no. It was hilarious. That made me laugh. But what did you think about it? It to me, SmackDown really had a hard time this show, even if they were in Italy. But what did you think?
It was okay. I think, like I say, I think the biggest issue SmackDown has is just the timing of the show. Like it's proven that a 3 hour show is. I'm not gonna say I understand why you do 3 hour show. There's a business side to it. I understand it, but from a wrestling standpoint, 2 hours makes sense. But that's between SmackDown. That's between WWE and USA and all that jazz. That's I think it's not justifying how SmackDown was, but like listen, there's a reason why they had to get Punk, Roman, and Seth. There was a reason
Yeah.
because they sensed that it's nothing to do with star power. It's just like we don't have much going on here, so we kind of bring something over to kind of get the audience going. And and penultimately, Punk mentioned the favor.
Yep.
I think there's still listen. This triple threat is it's super hard to pick a winner because this is one match. This is one triple threat match I can remember in recent memory where I could go. Any triple threat I can go. Oh yeah, I think that person's going to win because this one you can go a lot of different ways.
Yep.
And listen, three great people on the mic as well, and then of course you got Paul Heyman there. You can't really go wrong. And as for what I thought of all of it, I expected nothing less.
Yeah.
Arguably like this. I don't want to say save the show. I don't want to say that. But what it did was it made it watchable for some people because, like I say, the issue is the 3 hours, and
Oh
that's not. Listen, Raw had the same issue before it went to Netflix,
yeah.
where when they were a little bit of 3 hours. And Devin, with some news here. Hi guys, I've been distant for about a week. My firstborn son was born. Caden Wade, congratulations, Devin.
Oh, congrats! Awesome,
Congratulations for
awesome,
the baby
awesome,
boy. Yeah. Congratulations there. But
awesome. So
thank you
happy
for
about that.
thank you for joining, my friend. Thank you.
And say goodbye to sleep. It's not gonna. You will not have sleep for a long time there, my man. Just saying.
And then April, aka Ron.
Yep.
What up, everyone? Hi, April and Ron. How are you? Devin, always. And but anyway, I don't want to take up too much time here. I'll just say I've had like 4 hours in the past 3 nights. So yeah, listen.
Yep.
Like I'm the only non-dad on
Congratulations.
this show. Maybe I should just leave and Devin should come on and talk about dad stuff, and then I'll just
No. We got.
I'll
We still have more shows in the spike to talk about. Um,
I'll I'll hit the catering and then. But
including Mr.
but yeah.
Ricardo.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But to me, that's the big takeaway. It's just I think it's the 3 hours because I felt you're putting you have to fill a show. It's the best way I could put it. Outside of a PLE, I don't ever see a reason for having a wrestling show be longer than 2 hours.
I agree.
If it's a PLE, I don't care. Just like let's say we saw a wrestle. We see with WrestleManias these stuff. If these go 3 hours, I don't care. As long as there's substance, it's cool. So, but I think having that kind of close it out with those three made sense, and there's still much to go. And then oh god, my name, oh boy, I'm pulling myself up. And John, I accept your apology. It's just things, maybe at some point I'll get back into it, but I don't want to slow the process of the show. But I accept your apology.
Okay, cool. Miss 8 hour. That's what no one has said that, Devin. No. Jesus.
Man, you talking about missing sleep, Devin? That's a Devin. That's a third of a day.
Dude, I love WrestleMania. I love WrestleMania. When they were that long, I was having a hard time staying awake. I was like,
yeah, because it's like I can't remember the one where like the card was like I'm like this is too much. Like I think so. I think somebody went and said like, bro, these could be. We're basically these are what basically you're putting on like you're putting on Marvel movies here. Like
yeah.
we gotta like that's
Well,
like basically watching like Captain America Winter. Like you're watching them all in eight. Like listen, you could probably get through a nice set of the Marvel movies in order with
yeah.
8 hours. Like you can maybe get through you know what? I'll say 3.5 because
Yeah, I was
some
gonna
are
say
as
I
long.
think three and a
It,
half is about right.
yeah, like it doesn't feel like. Listen, I almost walked out of Avatar, so you're the wrong guy.
Oh God, don't even get me started on Avatar.
Because
That was
no, because like I said, listen, the theater, like okay, the screen went dark, and I'm like, well, this is the worst money I ever spent in my life. So I get,
oh
and then all of a sudden, they show the land of none of the Nivea, whatever, Nivea, even though it's Nivea for men, like but you guys know the name of the thing. Don't leave me alone. But yeah, I don't know what we were talking about, but there we go.
I think that WrestleMania you're talking about, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was the one in Dallas. I want to say the one with Roman and Triple H as the main event.
Yeah.
Oh, it just that one felt like it was taking forever to get through.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's like after a certain few matches, you're just like, get it over with. It felt
Okay,
like
here
an
it comes.
AEW show.
Your Hall of Fame class. I'm like, oh no. Like,
Oh no, that means we still have a couple more. Oh
yeah,
no,
it's
we're
like,
doing. What's
oh
Stephanie doing?
man.
I'm so tired.
It's like, oh man. I see why the Oscars running 3 hours. I get it's like 50 categories. I get it.
I understand why the Oscars play people off so quickly.
Right. They're like, listen. Get the Sandman from the Apollo. That's how you solve that problem.
All right. So look, Monday Night Raw. Here's how we're gonna go on this. Hold on. Stuff fellas, my bad on my tardiness. What did I miss? Well, we just finished talking SmackDown, but here's the thing. So we're gonna review Raw, but then I'm also gonna talk about these fans because you know John Cena's right. The fans ruin everything. I mean, at this point. So number one, we know the show was in Glasgow, Scotland. All right. That's not Portland, New Jersey, or that's not Portland, Oregon. That's not Decatur, Georgia. They were overseas. I get that. All right. And there are they've been doing these international shows. Next week they're going to be in London. So I get the it's almost like there's a haze. There's people saying that they're not really trying to do everything they want to do. Whatever. I'm not even mad about all that. Here's what I'm aggravated with. You fans make no sense. We've seen some videos come out. Um, Pro wrestling bits, love them. I watch a lot of their stuff, but the one that just I was just watching, they were making it like Rhea is the dirt worst heel, and Bianca's getting framed. And not just that, but she is not the heel. She's the ultimate face in all this. And that's where I'm just like, okay, look, we're going to talk about all this because, and this is where I just need to say, I want to shoot these birds off the sky, because this is ridiculous. Monday Night Raw. So John Cena starts the show off again, and people are kind of like aggravated, but this time John Cena actually, instead of talking about other things, talks about something about his plan with the WWE title. Now, more people are still mad that he hasn't talked about The Rock. I have my view. I want to hear Ladarius, though. What's your view on the John Cena promo as well as the plan and then what are your concerns coming up for next week, since we got
Well,
another chance of John?
this is actually a great point to circle back to my face heel point,
Yeah,
because John Cena said something that I 100% agreed with. Even when he was the face, y'all was still booing that man.
yeah,
And I'm like, so I guess to clear up what I said earlier, I don't like to leave things on. My whole point about the whole face heel dynamic is this: the Bailey example is great, but the John Cena face is an even greater point. Because even when he was the face top of the company, folks were still booing him.
yeah.
They were booing the bejesus out of him. And but he never, and they were going to do the heel turn 7 years ago. Everything was lined up, but it wasn't quote unquote best for business. But circling back to Cena's promo, the only thing that changed about John Cena was the tone of how he did his promos. That's it. And I say it once and I'll say it again. John Cena on the microphone, I put him in terms of what I've watched and what I've seen, like 25. He's a guy I can easily put on the Mount Rushmore of guys who can do it on the mic. And listen, my personal, like, I put CM Punk in that kind of conversation as well. It's where no matter what position you give them, they know how to do a great promo.
Yeah.
John Cena is showing there's a reason why he's opening up every Raw. This is not by, and the thing, it's because he understands how to get the crowd. The biggest thing that he's done, he's gone after the crowd and made it personal. In terms of how he's the tone and things like that. And then Dre says Cena's gonna win the belt, retire, then create a badass spinner belt with it. They'll be forced to modernize the Wing Eagle belt as the new title. If that's the way we listen, I'm not mad at the Wing Eagle belt. Like, that doesn't get enough credit. But like the spinner, I'm not gonna get into it. I'm already in enough trouble in this. I'm in enough trouble on this show as is today. Oh. So I'll leave my spinner opinion. It's not a terrible opinion, but it may not be a popular opinion.
Will
I'll
John
leave it
Cena
at that.
be mad at your opinion? How about that?
Huh?
Will John Cena be mad at your opinion of his spinner?
I don't think he would.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe he would, but I don't. He's got one foot out the door. Craig says, remember when Cena lost to, I think, the Nexus and had to leave, and they were going to have him on his loose go one Cena and then scrap it. Listen, those were wild times. Like,
those Nexus days.
Listen, I'm not going to say recreational drugs were used at that time. I'm not going to speculate, but it's like in the 80s in wrestling, you knew something was. Listen, it was something powder. It was something powdery, and I'm not talking about sugar. I'm not talking about baby powder, nothing like that.
That would have explained a whole lot of decisions you made.
Oh yeah, well, jump off the cage, yeah. No, calm down.
Santino going, oh, so that's how I got hired.
Crap.
John Cena.
Anyway, John J. I'll say this. I don't want to run over time here.
Oh, you're good.
I'll share my opinion, Spinner, but I'm already 1 foot in. Here's the thing. It took me a while to come around on the United States Championship spinner belt. I just didn't like it. But when he became world champion, I actually loved that spinner design. That one I preferred it because to me it felt like the United States one is still, I don't know. Maybe it was because listen, he set a precedent for spinner belts. So, but when he when he won the heavyweight championship and made it a spinner, I'm cool with it. That's my opinion. Listen, it's not like I said, it wasn't a terrible take, but listen, people love the both of them. Like the U.S. one, I had to come around on because I'm like, But when I saw the world heavyweight, I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that. But anyway, I'm just rambling like Randy Orton. But to get back to the point about John Cena, that was the main point. I was the question I was asked. Look, I think what people have to understand and put in the context is what John Cena is doing. There's a reason why we haven't, we're seeing Cody come out after every promo for a reason. Like, it's just watching. Like, for those who don't like it, my only thing is this: what could he have? I always ask this question for people who say that. What could he have done better than what he did? And yet, when you answer people that question, like, oh, well, I don't know. Well, then why would you say it's terrible? Because see, people. Here's the thing: people love to complain about it, but don't have a solution to fix it. And we all know people like that in our lives. Like, if they can give you all the why they don't like it, but you ask them for a solution, they don't have one to be found. What John appreciate, I'm gonna say it like this, and I'll be done. Appreciate John Cena because when he's gone, I legitimately believe he's going to be gone. John Cena does not strike me as the type of guy who's going to be like a Ric Flair type of guy who's going to just show up and fight in his 50s and 60s and his 70s. Cena never gives me that vibe. Cena's have a nice career in Hollywood, like he's got carved out, and it'd be fun. And it says Cena could change his ring of time. See, Dre, to me, that's part of the heel dynamic to me. That's why he hasn't changed it. Because it's obvious when you do the face, like here, when we saw Hogan be, that guy, I'm not going to say his name, but we saw that guy who used to be the Hulkamania. He was wearing the yellow. All of a sudden, he comes to the black with NWO. Like that, but like with Cena's like this. You know what I'm going to do? Like, you know what? He's not running down. He's not running down the ring. He lays down the towel edge of the ring. He's doing subtle things. And there's like a heel change, and this kind of goes back to the face heel dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have to change anything. All he's literally done is change the way that he goes to the ring. He's taken away the joy of from the fans of how he used to go to the ring. He's taken the joy out of his promos. He's literally doing the same thing, but it's less joyful. That's a master class. And people are like, oh well, and he made the all-time greatest point. Y'all booed that man when he was the face of this company for 2.5 decades. Some of you booed him. And we're not talking you just booed him early on. Some of you booed him as late as 5-10 years ago. You booed him.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when he's snapping at y'all, like there's truth to it. That's all I'm gonna say. And then Craig says it's too much time between Rumble WrestleMania for people. Just piles of talking since we don't see Cena. And almost a month ago, average fan doesn't like that. Yeah, that's a great point. An average fan,
it is great.
Oh yeah, we got to fight. Yeah, like no, like here's the thing. You know how I treat this. I'm sorry, I know I've been talking way too long, and I'll be done, and you can talk for the rest of the show.
No, you're fine.
No, I'm not. No, I feel like I'm taking too much time.
Fine.
You know what? The best example I could use, I think the closer we get to WrestleMania, you got to start kind of using the preseason approach and start just sitting some guys. Don't risk injury.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. I love that. I was thinking the same thing.
It's like don't put them in a dangerous situation unless you really think it's going to benefit the feud or push a storyline. Other than that, I'd rather prefer the talking. I'd rather prefer the little fisticuffs. I'm great with that. But for the love of God, like as far as a physical match, no. Treat it like the preseason, or treat it like the end of the season when you got things wrapped up. You got the division wrapped up. You got the 1 seed wrapped up. You got nothing to play for until you get to the playoffs start. Treat it like that. And you're right, Craig. The average fan hates it, but I get it because I think we saw did Seth Rollins get hurt? Was it Bianca? It's like you got to push back. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say.
And that's my time, folks. I'll see you next time.
Wow. No, you're still staying. Because we still have to talk about Grande Americano. Anyway, when you talk about John Cena, Ladarius said it perfectly. And what I've been hearing is people go, well, what about The Rock? What about this? What about this? He gave you the plan. He's going to ruin wrestling. He hasn't gotten to the point as a heel to go, Now let me tell you my master plan. You have to just go with what's happening. Now, next week, international date, he's going to be there. Now, what happens afterward? People are worried. Well, they go back to the States. I don't know if Cena is going to what he has planned yet. Now, there's got to be a point where Rock gets involved, or they bring in Rock, at least to talk why he lined himself with Rock. All right, he's doing all this on his own. I hope Cena wins and turns it. Look, if he does, I would not be mad. By the way, I love the spinner belt. And I got with like Ladarius, when the U.S. title got changed, all it did to me was, huh. So if they changed that belt for him, I wonder if he gets over, will they do the same for the major title? Probably not. I don't. And then sure enough, here we go. And it, like I said, that belt. I fell in love with that belt the night of Unforgiven. I be my fandom of John Cena went through the roof because not only did that belt mean something to him, but he put all that blood, everything on the line, and it was just one of the best I Quit matches I've ever seen. With him and JBL, one of my favorites, really is. And still have my favorite thought of
Dixon
him
Way.
going, hell no. Yeah. Thank you, Dixon Way. Check out the Dixon Way, folks. They do great commentary for your Braves,
Excellent, yeah.
for your
Streaming games, they're fantastic,
Hawks. Yeah,
fantastic over there.
they are awesome, especially some of the NCAA games too that they're going to be
Yeah.
doing, especially for his ladies Gators. So they're doing really good in the tournament. So and yeah, so I and people are like, well, he hasn't addressed Cody. Here's what I'm going to say to that. He's attacking Cody, folks, through the people. Because the people, why did Cody become the champion? Because of the people. See, this is a key thing that hasn't been said. It's just something that I thought about. John being so angry with Cody. Well, think about it. Last year, Rock shows up. When The Rock showed up with Cena, they loved Rock. They could care less about Cena. They booed Cena even more. Oh, he cracked on Cena. That's funny. When Rock tried to crack on Cody, oh, these fans were like, no, we don't want him. No, we want Cody. We want Cody. So that has to play also in that. I hope it does. I can't wait till next week because I feel it's like this. The promo, the first one was about you fans did this to me. I didn't turn heel. You brought this out of me. Second time, hey, I made fun of that fat kid because of you people. Because y'all put his face out there. Not me. What a heel does. And then I'm gonna ruin wrestling. Now, first of all, John, if you win this and you eclipse Ric Flair, that is not ruining wrestling. We will celebrate that because we don't want Ric Flair to be that top guy. Anyway, I hope everyone in the chat and everyone here agrees with me because I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. Crazy old man. And then we got the Cody answering and wanting to fight. My thing is this. Ladarius said it perfectly. It's kind of like preseason. We're not trying to rush it all. We got the initial beatdown at the chamber. I think we get one more. And that will be, I'm hoping it goes outside. Hell, I hope The Rock shows up then. And, they do that. Just leave Travis Scott in the trailer, please. Don't, or Sexy Red. Don't bring any of them out. But yeah. But for God's sakes, do that beatdown. I think it's coming. They'll bring up The Rock eventually. If The Rock can get away, because he's also filming too. So there's really nothing to do except here's the other thing. And then another point I heard. Well, maybe they're afraid that Cody's going to get toasted by John Cena. Ladarius has told you how great of a promo John Cena is. how much of a wizard he is on the mic. Can I remind people how freaking awesome Cody Rhodes can be when burning people alive? We just don't see it because he's Mr. PC. You tell him you get to go all out. Cody, telling you, just trust me, folks. It ain't that son of a plumber. Well, trust me, he's going to be cursing like one. Um, and if Cena wins, titles should be shattered, put together. But oh, no, Dre. I have. You know what though? Cherry on top would be the name belt. You know, all right. FU championship. You know what? I actually kind of dig that, but I just want him to change instead of only thing I ask him to change. Don't ever call it the attitude adjustment. Call it the FU because that's what he had it when he first started winning matches, and that would be great, especially with Netflix and all that other stuff. But man, FU championship. I kind of like. I might have to make that when I get the game. Fellas, what's so good? We got A1 Sports forever. Ever. All right. Well, that was the John Cena, Cody Rhodes thing. And look, that was something that I enjoyed. I know Darius did. Let's talk about tag team action. A-Town Down got to go against Jay Uso and his brother. Because that's what Michael Cole introduced him as. He didn't introduce him as Jimmy. I had to watch it over again because I missed it. Because I was like, wait a minute, did I hear that correct? I thought they said it was Jimmy. No, they said that man's brother. Hello, yeah, but no, Big Jim. Yes, he did say that. Yeah, Michael Cole, you need to be ashamed of yourself. This is why if you have Pat McAfee next to you, you had Corey Graves, you're button up. But when you had Pat, you get all loosey goosey. You need to shape up there, son. I had to do a John Harris there. Yeah, God love John. And by the way, R.I.P. to George Foreman and his family. I mean, you know, just hit me because he did pass away. But yeah, R.I.P. to them, man. So Usos win. They look great. Look like the great tag team. John Brooks said this earlier. Gunther and his 10 weeks of hell, aka he needs to snuggle. He wants to snuggle with Jey Uso again. And then Jay apparently is now having issues walking or attempting a spear. So, obviously they're feeding into that what was played up about how he botched that dive over the top last week. But what did you think? And look, anytime the Usos are together, I really do enjoy it. I'm not saying to keep them together, but I am saying when you do something like this, it's good to see them together. But what do you think, man? You're muted, brother.
Yeah, I realized that there. It's always great to see them as a tag team back together again. I thought it was going to be somebody else, but I'm not going to get into it. But listen, you saw like they didn't miss a step, and I just like seeing them back together. And I don't know what they're going to do with A-Town Down, but that they got to do something fast. That's all I'm going to say.
Real quick, I want to address this because when I first heard they were going to Scotland, I was like, man, yeah, get Joe Henry out there. Come on, man, don't miss this opportunity. But then again, I realized, okay, well, what's TNA doing? Maybe they got a schedule they got, and then you hear about the firings that were happening. So look, I'm not mad that they went this route. I think if they were in the States, I think you would have seen Joe Henry. I get it, would have been a big crowd, but I think we're all going to realize Jimmy was the right guy that needs to be here. You know what I'm saying? So, and then Jimmy needed that win. Yeah. Well, both of them did. Why did Jet just stand on the steps while I beat Jimmy on the? Well, I don't. Devin. You ask good questions. All I can say is I don't know. Ching. you know, when Jimmy was like, "Oh, we'll talk about that because we're gonna talk about the slap her around the world." I bet you Naomi was proud of him. I tell you that much. Or Meechin after she slapped. I still have that slap in my head when Jay's like, "There's your boys." She just hauled off and slapped that man. It's like if you've never seen it, just go Google Jimmy Uso getting slapped by Meechin because that's funny. Also talking about TNA. Shout out to Chris Bay
Yeah,
walking it to
I
the
was gonna
ring
say,
again.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna mention it, yeah, but I'll go do it at the end of the show, but yeah.
no, we'll also do that too. But yeah, shout out to Chris Bay, man. That was awesome. Um, the amount of support and everything that came out to him. That's you gotta talk about LF. Eventually, we will. I haven't watched any, so I need to
Listen, let
watch.
me tell you something.
Yeah,
That Bailey Humphrey, let me
yeah.
tell you something. Listen, the women's division is gonna be in great hands. I'm gonna leave it at that.
I saw some of those women in that thing, man. Man,
You know,
man.
like with Xena, like it's absolutely fantastic. And Kaylee Armstrong, like it's listen, future's bright.
Amen. I mean, I will tell you, there are some people that, um, when you see them in Evolve, you go, "Oh wow," you can see why they thought about these women. And then there's some that you're going, "Oh, they're going to need some more." But honestly, then you got NXT. They're doing really God's work out there. I mean, I love what they're doing. One girl's head
Jesus,
down, match her body.
Jesus, yeah.
Oh my god! I saw a clip of that. Oh gosh, she scared me. That's also Chris Bay is able to walk. That is awesome. That is probably the best news of the week. Um, so yeah, so we got that. We had the women's intercontinental title match, and I got to go here. I don't know about you, Ladarius. I think this is the best match Raquel Rodriguez had. She looked really good in this match, really comfortable, and that may be also saying a lot for Lyra. Liv did a good job, just being a distraction. I mean, for God's sake, she's Liv Morgan. Uh, but a blessing in the Lord. But what did y'all think? What did you think about the Intercontinental title match?
Oh, oh yes. Well, what do you guys think of the chat? He said y'all, so I'm gonna go grab me a sandwich at
I
the
know
catering.
you called
I'm
me
gonna grab me a
saying that.
sandwich at catering.
I'm like, I see all the comments, and then I just was like, for some reason, I was like, "Hey, y'all, what's up? Come on, y'all, Ladarius, what do you think?"
I'm eating a sandwich, pal. Think of yourself. Think of yourself, pal. Um, listen, this was definitely a great match by Raquel, and I like the dynamic of her getting this shot at Intercontinental. Like people were worried. Like I remember when she fought Bailey, be like, oh, well, Bailey, like no, have Raquel because like Raquel, we haven't really seen. When we see Raquel in singles, she's not terrible, and I kind of enjoyed the match. And John's like, we haven't seen Roxanne over 2 weeks. We haven't seen. I think we're going to see Roxanne show up before. I think we're going to see her show up because listen, a part of me just still feels Roxanne versus Bailey makes a whole lot of sense. So for a lot of reasons, but to go back to the point, and then Devin asked, "Does Liv win the IC title at Mania?" Here's my whole theory. I think because it doesn't seem like Becky, which I'm fine with. The next best thing you could do is transition the belt off of Lyra to Liv. I would not be upset at that. But there's but here's the but here's the question: are they going to defend those tag team belts at WrestleMania?
Yeah,
That's I think it's like I said, I like where Devin's thinking here, but like a part of me feels like do you have Liv and Raquel defend the tag titles? Maybe that's why Raquel got the Intercontinental title shot because maybe at WrestleMania we could potentially see a tag team match. So but overall, listen, it was a great match. And like I said, I'm just curious to see because I noticed the way that Bailey was looking at Lyra's the title, and then my head started thinking like, listen, we talk about triple threats and fatal four ways. Could we
Yeah.
get Lyra versus Bailey versus Roxanne? And you could potentially, depending what they do with the tag team belts, could you see Liv as well?
Yeah.
Because, like I say, it's very contingent upon what they do with those tag belts. And let's see, it's oh yeah, that was brought up earlier. This rumor that Mariah's contract. Um, I mean, I can talk about it, but if you want to talk about it, C-Dub, you can.
The contract or the match
The,
or
the Mariah May's contract.
no,
Well,
Mariah
it's your show. You talk. I'm just here.
No, I got you. No, I'm gonna just say Mariah May. It just depends on this contract. When it's expiring, will there be an option, or will AEW? They probably might have an opportunity to actually sign her a little longer. So until we get like definite word, or my best, I like saying it like this: if she shows up in WWE tomorrow, then we'll know.
Yeah,
So when it comes to rumors, I'd rather just find out that way than because
yeah,
Sean Ross
because
Sapp has missed stuff, and a lot of people have missed. If her contract's coming up and they want to try to get her here in WWE, I can see it. But I don't. I'm pretty confident that AEW is going to try to keep her. She's young. She should. To me, she would be one that I wouldn't let go. Okay.
yeah, I agree with that, John. Unless another situation where they defend it on one night and she goes for the IC title on the other night, like that just popped in my head. I keep forgetting that WrestleMania is 2 nights. I said they could pull. It could be pulled off.
Hmm.
We could have Lyra versus Roxanne versus Bailey versus Liv, if they want to go that route. And then you get, and then if the, like I said, I agree that the women's tag needs to be defended. You could do that potentially night one, and have the Fatal Four Way night two. We
Yeah.
we've seen double duty being pulled. It's not unprecedented. So like Stephanie Vacour, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome.
So or Vacaire. I keep saying Vacaire. I don't want her to come slap me. Vacaire.
She's awesome.
At some point,
People on the you're right, but
but
for WrestleMania, I don't mind having a lot of people because it's WrestleMania. Give them an opportunity.
yeah, I see his point. I think having big rosters benefit now for WrestleMania because in years past when it was just one night, a lot of match like there was a year Bailey didn't even go on the card, and Bailey was why because it was just they didn't have room for Bailey. Like think about that for Bailey. So it's going to be well, but a lot of great questions, you guys.
Hmm.
I did say double duty. Correct
Yeah. Yes, you did. Yes, you
spelling and
did.
everything. Correct. You're on top thing.
I
But like,
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
But for the Mariah May thing, I agree because listen, contract language can be very tricky.
yeah,
Because I'll just flash. When I got my I took contract law. I had to take an elective, so I said, oh yeah, take contract law, and everybody does that. So yeah, so based on like how I see contract, how they work, it's there could be language in there that could keep Mariah May there. But once again, I would have to know more details. It's like when Soraya came out and said, "Hey, she's not with the company," and there's no 90-day or whatever that nonsense. They mutually parted ways. Soraya can show up anywhere. I
yeah.
keep hearing WWE, but I don't. I'll save that for another time. But it's I I, yeah, I have an idea of how they could fit her in, but listen, I'll save it. We got more important things to talk about here.
I think
So I'll turn that back over. I'm sorry, I'm taking over your show. I'm sorry, back to you.
it's our show.
No,
Give
it's,
me
it's
Jacob
your show. My name's underneath the marquee somewhere.
gave
Yeah,
me the Jacob Fatu as the United States champion. I like LNA, but I want to see what Jacob. Look, I don't think you're wrong, John, about Jacob. I think, but I think what they're trying to do is show Jacob as a worthy contender. but eventually he has to shake Solo first, and you could tell that story. It's not hard, and Jacob's going to be one of those guys I could see easily going well. Sarah Page, or okay, so NWA
Yeah,
would
I, I
for
yeah, I like NWA. I mean, people saying WWE, but like NWA would make sense because, like I said, they mentioned Natalia. We can be at the Crockett Cup, their tournament there. I,
What about
I wouldn't be
what,
upset.
what about TNA?
What about what now?
What about TNA?
Like I say, there's plenty of options.
Hmm.
TNA, given how they're firing people, I don't know if I would go to TNA at this point. I
True,
mean,
true,
like,
but
I mean,
yeah,
they let go of Gail Kim. I could argue like one of the best people that company ever had in the ring, out the, and if she's expendable, because listen, you can tell a lot about a company can send a message without saying a word. When they basically said we're going to fire Gail Kim, that's all I needed to know, and
yep.
that lets me know that listen, for whatever reason. So I would I go to TNA? I would have to have some guarantees if I go to TNA from a contractual standpoint.
I got to
Yeah,
say,
yeah, great point, Devin.
oh, let's see.
Great.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I made a cut you off, but great point,
yeah,
Devin.
just
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You're right.
yeah,
Yeah, and TNA already got a lot of heat. Well,
yeah. It's
but we're
from
not
a
bringing her name in because man, you s- her new look. Jesus Christ.
it's amazing how she just offends just two cold. You know what? I'm not gonna get into it.
Thank you.
It's like, oh, I can say this about the culture, and then I can dress. I'm like, here. You know what? I don't mean to take over. I'm gonna send a PSA.
Yeah,
Okay,
PSA time.
listen. Just I'll put it this way. I understand when you're with someone of a different culture. And then Craig said, if I mentioned about too many people, it wasn't about WrestleMania, it was about just in general because the talk is, yeah, more new people means less time for current. That's a fair point.
Oh, it is.
And I think and I think that's why I say Soraya going to WWE. I don't think that's the lock that people think it is, unless they've already had discussions. But here's the PSA: if you just in hindsight, it always looks like a great idea when you're on paper, or if you're with someone and you're like, oh, well, I can dress like this because that's not how it works. Just because that individual, I believe she's married to a luchador if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah, a
or
luchador in Mexico.
just because you're married to him doesn't mean like I want to know whose idea that was. Let's back the train up. Because listen, somebody signed up and said that's a great idea. Somebody said that.
Yeah,
Somebody greenlit that and said, "Oh, go for it." And we're looking like you picked the wrong person to do it. Listen. People who look like me, we're not big fans of her. And then people who listen, read the room. Like read the room. I love TNA. I'm starting to watch TNA on Access T. I love but this is how you lose the room. Okay? What do so oh
oh no, I'm
no,
scared.
you know what? You know what, Devin? I'm curious now.
Yeah, I am too.
I'm ju-
What do they have in common?
what do they have in common? I'm super curious. I'll do the filler talk while he let's see. Oh
Oh
yeah, oh
yeah,
that's true, man.
and so did Charlotte, by the way.
Oh yeah,
The
you know,
android.
I'm
I
like,
removed my feelings for him.
I get you like a bad boy, but listen, when we think about it, listen, folks, what the hell? Like, listen, listen, I'm probably the only single between two people in this. I'm the only single guy here. I'm not gonna be like, oh, why did they go for the? No, I'm not gonna go that route. I'm just gonna go like this. what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing? Well, it's like I like the whole thing with Saray and listen, that whole if just Google that, and if you weren't pissed after reading that, then like there's a reason why that didn't work, and a lot of that leans on Del Rio. A
What?
lot of it does. And let's see, I don't like his wrestling, but Ryan the annoying a little brother stick is growing on. You know, to a certain extent, yeah, I'm not going to argue with that, Craig. I think that's a good point. But I'm sorry, I've taken up too much of the mic. But I'm just, my PSA is this. I get distracted by these great comments. The PSA is this, folks. Don't put someone in a character who has issues with minorities and dress her like a minority. That's not how, no. Because now we're just offending, now we just have a checklist of cultures we're going to offend. And at this point, listen, like I say, just because your man is like, listen, it's not, like, are you trying to get more, like TNA? Are you trying to get more heat? Are you trying to get more heat? Listen, she has enough heat. She has more heat than Death Valley, and you could go and Arizona. Like, she has more heat than it is in than what? Like I said, Death. What I said Death Valley, Arizona, anywhere on the West Coast combined in the summer. She has too much heat. TNA is just trying to fan the flame of Canada. Listen, listen. I hate to say it right now. If that's the case, Craig, Canada's looking pretty good right now. You know, I hate to say it. People like listen. You know what? You know what, John? Both of them. Like, listen. I'm surprised that Hogan that he hasn't hired her to sponsor that beer. Hi, I'm Tessa. Like, folks. I mean, I guess people like when I get angry. Folks, like, what are we doing? Like, here's the thing. The whole Tesla play, like the whole, like, here's the thing. We got to stop. Like the whole, like, listen. If you're TNA, what are we thinking? Like, you put a worse character on than what? Like, this is worse than her actual character. Like, it's like this is not. I mean, she was basically dressing. Every stereotype box was checked, and you show up what couple months, what last month, 2 months ago, the crowd was chanting you're racist.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, how do we fix this? We change your character to, like that. Somebody signed off on that. Because listen, it wasn't Scott D'Amore because he's not there. It wasn't Gail Kim because that's not how she operates. Somebody said that. Think about this, folks. Somebody said that was a great idea. Somebody said that was a great idea. It's like when you see like why did certain movies? Somebody said it was a great idea. It's just that was terrible. Yeah, my favorite. Just to get yeah, the fact that they allowed that during when the New Day was Rat Belly. Oh my god, was T-Pain? There was a rapper. There was some. Was it T-Pain or somebody else? Was it
Wale?
Wale? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, man. See, that's another. See, here's the thing, and I'm sorry for saying. Here's the thing. The reason why Saraya shouldn't go back to W is the same reason why Russell Wilson didn't sign with the Falcons. You got read the history. Like, there's a reason why. Oh my God, Russ is the Super Bowl winning quarterback. Yeah, you got to look at who he's married to and where the ex lives. Oh, in Atlanta, you say? Yeah. Gail Kim is friends with Tessa and has helped rehabilitate her. That's real. Listen, Craig, you're right, Craig. If that's rehabilitating your image, listen, Gail Kim, you are one of the best female wrestlers of all time. If that's how you define rehabilitating someone's image, then I guess I don't know what the word rehabilitation and the word image means, because I feel like and the listen, the Giants didn't do that. Listen, here's the thing. The Giants Here's what the Giants did. The Giants screwed the Giants. That's what they did. They said, "Hey, we got James. James is actually the better. We'll say that for tomorrow's show. But James is the better starting quarterback. Like you could have had a competition and been like, oh no, Russ is going to be the starter. All right. Hey, Tessa Blanchard, be this character. All right. Hogan passing off that is beer. All right. I bet you. I bet you those cans are illegal. So think about that. Like, are those really aluminum cans? All right.
Oh, God.
All right. I'm done. I'm sorry. I'll be quiet. I'm done.
I don't even know where I'm at. So yeah, we. All right. Give it. I'm sorry. Oh Lord. So yeah. Um. Lyra won, and yeah, boy, did we go on a long trek here. And you know what? It was worth it. And by the way, I agree, 1,000%, because I'm Puerto Rican, and that offended me. You know what didn't offend me? Grande el Americano. Okay, Grande el Americano, a luchador from the land of the Gulf of Americano. Now look, there are a bunch of sensitive Nancy's. But see, at Wrestle Take, we don't have sensitive wrestling people. We have grown people that understand. You're right. Well, there is somebody signed on Tessa and said, "Yeah, that's a good idea." Yep. But we have people that understand that if you show me where Truth or Consequences, New Mexico is at, and take me there, I will personally take you to the Gulf of Americano.
Oh, I know where that is. I know exactly where
Yeah,
that is.
we got to go to the landmark, take pictures, all that good stuff.
Oh no,
That's
listen. I know. It's a real city. I know where it is.
yeah, it's
I'm
right
a
up.
geography guy, but okay, I'll be quiet. Okay, I
So
got 50% of geography guy. So, but yeah,
hey
it's a
man,
great city.
we'll go. Hey, look, I love a good road trip.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, listen, we'll head over to. I think it's yeah, true to it's actually ironically enough, it's not too far from the Gulf of America. It's in like
Look,
true to consequences, like
look,
it's in New Mexico.
for people
So
that are, what I want to say is this: for people that are bringing this up as damn politics, stop. Look at the person. It's Chad Gable. He's
are we sure
making
about
it
that? I
stupid.
don't know.
Well, we don't know for sure.
We
We
don't
haven't
know.
never seen
They
them
took
together.
some rockers gear and Americanized it. That's all they
You know
did.
what? That's what I was going to say. Maybe you know what? Maybe it's, I've known a few Mexicans that have liked, uh, the American flag and fringe. So I can't just say it's Chad Gable. It could be anybody. You know, I mean, someone is ripped though, as that one dude. But anyway, but look, the match itself was awesome. I love it. Just the sure disgust in Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee as they're watching the sport.
Yeah, look, they had every right. I was disgusted. Like that.
But what cracked me up the most is Adam Pierce, Mr. GM, is like, yeah, this is legit, guys. Right there, I knew he's been drinking. He had the worm. Because here's why I bring that up. So Adam Pierce talks about that contract with the women's match. Everything going well until Rhea decided to powerbomb Io to Belair. Well, here's something funny. Io comes out and basically looks at Adam Pierce and says the following: I will fight both of them. Let me have them both at WrestleMania. I don't care. And then here comes Bianca doing the no, no. And the fans booed. Because why? Your champ, Io, that people love, is saying, I want to fight them both. The person that doesn't want that is saying no. But yet I was hearing how Glassnose was racist. Now, why did I say this made Adam Pierce look like an idiot? Because then Rhea comes out. And again, when Rhea's music hits, there's this thing called a pop, and she gets it. She comes, Io gets, and Bianca does too. I'm not just trying to make Bianca look bad. No, Bianca's good. All right, don't even. I don't know. This might be a fight now. First of all, we got the Ray Dragon Gable one, and then I I bet Grande Americana wins a belt before Penta. Come on, John. Now, John, you just straight up hate. All right. But anyway, we're gonna. I bet you Penta's gonna get an Intercontinental title match at Mania. All right. But and John and somewhere Tony Khan is crying in his powder. So and John Moxley is crying in his spikes. So Rhea does the I'll take whatever match, whatever. It doesn't mean have to be Mania. And Adam Pearce is getting all worked up. And all I say is this. Tell me you suck at your job, Adam Pearce, without telling me you suck at your job. Your champion told you, let me have them both. And you're like, whoa, can't do that. But I'll give you a rematch. And then you come into the locker room and tell Bianca, you're the referee. We need to alcohol test that man. I want to know what he's drinking before and after the show. And I want to find out, because if I find out there's some baby powder or some other powder in your locker, we're going to have a talk. But anyway, we know it's going to go into a triple threat. All right, I'm not even mad. But what? I'm so aggravated with this. Oh, the international markets are racist to Bianca. It's like you saw the way this thing started, right, people? And I mean this. Ladarius and me talked, and we kind of saw this. We talked about November at War Games, before War Games. Rhea and Bianca were not at eye to eye. Then fast forward, you have that match where she interferes, but the referee's discretion. It's not like anyone was complaining about it. She let the match go, and Rhea cost herself the match. Hold on to the thought. Hold on, I got all dried up again. All right. Me. Okay. Then after that, you had this situation going down. It's natural for this to be this way. And it's nothing against Bianca. But folks, John Cena was getting booed when he was the face. Bianca could get booed. It's nothing personal. You've been wanting people. It's like this. You wanted Io to get pushed. Okay, Io gets pushed. Well, now we want Bianca. Okay. Well, now you're making people choose. Oh, and Rhea's the big star because that's how they position her. All I'm saying is this. What you have to do is get this together. Yeah. must have, C Double must have loved the segment so much he's getting all choked up about it. Yeah, I was. Yeah, and like I said, Adam Pearce sniffing some booger. When he told Bianca, you're going to be special reference, she goes, I don't know how to ref. I'm like, oh, God. Bianca, come on, girl. It's not that hard. I refereed, folks. I wasn't great, but I refereed. It's called when you're desperate, you get the closest guy you could to do it, and that was me. But at least the shirt fit. But yeah, so the special guest referee. I have a feeling like Rhea's gonna like barely touch Bianca, and Bianca's gonna disqualify her, or it's just gonna be something stupid. But what do you think about the upcoming match and in London at the O2? So maybe she won't get booed as much, but man, and also if you want to address the fans on the way the internet was blowing up, because that was ridiculous.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, being a ref, it's an art and a science. Yeah, that's number one. But as for the match itself, I think there's gonna be some chicanery, but not the chicanery we think. I think somehow we end up with the no contest,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be a triple threat at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna end up happening because it's gonna force Pierce's hand, and he has to do a triple threat because once again, it's the question of like, how can you leave off Rhea Ripley off of WrestleMania? How can you leave off Bianca off of WrestleMania? Like, how do you do? Like, you could. People ain't gonna like it. But it leads to that point. But now I want to address the booing
Hmm.
because I read some comments. Oh yeah, oh yeah, John. Someone's getting that match is getting tossed out,
Oh yeah.
and my whole thing is this. I was equally curious as to why she was getting booed. I was equally curious. But here's the thing: when we use certain words, and this is coming from a position as a writer and who edits and things like that, we have to be careful with the words that we use. Simply having her being booed does not mean a whole crowd or a crowd is racist. Just because, like, oh, why are they booing her? Well, I'm not saying there's not history of racism. I'm not going to go down the historical track. I'll say that for my man. We talk about European history, but my whole thing is this: if we're talking about Bianca getting booed or being, it doesn't mean the crowd is racist. And I hate to say this, but this is I feel I can say it because I'm black. Not all black. Listen, when black people are booed, I don't check all the crowds are racist box. Because if that's the case, then we should have checked that box with Bobby Lashley. We could check that box with the New Day now. Because I guarantee you, in that European crowd, they booed the New Day. I don't think they're racist. I think the crowd, I give the crowd the understanding that they feel that maybe Bianca is not the face that they feel, and think of it this way: look at her actions. Look at her actions. And can we say with the all-time straightest face that those are? And it goes back to discussion with the face and heel dynamic, where has Bianca been acting as a face or heelish? Give the crowd credit because listen, the crowd can boo. You can tell a crowd is racist if they're booing every single person of color. If
Yeah.
that's the case, then Penta would have got booed. You know, El Generic. Yeah, I'm not gonna get into that. But Jade would have been booed. A lot of people would have been booed. I think we have to put things in the proper. Am I shocked that she's getting booed? Absolutely, I'm shocked. But before I jump and say, "Oh, that's a racist," no, it's like if they're booing Naomi, it's because she's a heel. And if you could probably run back the tape, because I've seen footage of when European tours, they were cheering for Bianca. Why? Because at that point she was a face. Well, she was interacting with the crowd, she was twisting the hair, doing the music.
Hmm.
Like all of a sudden now she's getting booed. Now we simply say, "Ah, European crowd's racist." If the European crowd was racist, then why would WWE put people of the people of color in their company back into Europe? Because you can spot. Here's the thing: you could spot something racist. Because there's between being racist and something that you just don't like a person. Listen, I've had to personally tell people I can tell when someone's being racist toward me or someone just doesn't agree with my thoughts, and you can tell by the comments that they tell you what side or the other. I'm not saying there's not a history of European racism with the colonialism and I'm not saying that it is, but we're digging too down into the well here.
Hmm.
Like Bianca's getting booed because the crowd feels she's a heel. In the States, was she not getting booed? So so by this logic, so if she was getting booed in like in LA, which is a fairly diverse population of crowd, they were cheering, or not only white crowd or anywhere else, and she was getting cheered in the States. It's not racism. It's people understand wrestling. It's the same reason. I'll put it this way, and I'll be done. It's the same reason why Hulk Hogan got booed the hell out of on the first night of Raw.
Yes.
It's because we know that he's a racist. We know he's a racist, and the crowd was like, "We gotta get out of here, Daddy." They knew he was racist. The only person I felt any sympathy for was Jimmy Hart, because Jimmy Hart didn't know. Jimmy
Man, that
Hart was
man.
like, "Oh, Daddy," he was clutching on that flag like he was clutching on to the last piece of the drum leg at Thanksgiving. He didn't want to let it go. He wasn't letting that flag go. But he didn't know what was going to happen.
Man.
Like, and then and then we know the Undertaker. Undertaker, oh, he had Trump, but the crowd cheered him. People were like, oh, well, why? Because by nature, when people talk about the Undertaker, they don't say he's a racist, and people like listen. People may not agree with his stances politically, but we look at him as like he's never crossed that line and said he's gone his way to say anything negative about people of color. Hulk Hogan has, and he didn't get checked for it, and he got checked for it. And it circles back to the point about Bianca. So you're telling me that same European crowd from last year to whenever, when she posted on her Instagram or on her Twitter account, that were cheering for her. Where was the racist stuff then? No, it's because she's a tweener. I'm not just going to sit here and call people racist simply because somebody. No, there's racist people in the world. Yes, I do believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Are there racist people in Europe? Sure, the law of large numbers say that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
but am I say? But the reason why she's getting booed is not for the reasons that we think. And I could end up being absolutely wrong about this, but my opinion is I have not seen enough to sit there and say that if that whole European crowd was racist, they would have booed Penta. They would have booed Jade. But to my election, this is a twin. You're right, Devin. You got me.
He's like, yeah, we got him.
Yeah, you got me. But it's simply this. I'm not going to sit there and call anybody racist. It's like, unless you show me, because there's racist people out there. And listen, well, they would have booed a lot of people if that was the case in Europe. Europe is not the same. Listen, I'm gonna leave you with this: Hulk Hogan getting booed, Tessa Blanchard getting booed. There's a reason. It's
Mm-hmm.
because they publicly have said negative things about people who look like me, and now, and probably other cultures as well. And no, here's the thing: nobody demanded an apology, but they should have gave an apology.
Yeah.
People want like, hey, can you at least say you're sorry for what you said? They didn't. Let me tell you something. When people don't apologize for their actions, I'm pretty sure they meant every single last word that they said. I'm not going to sit here and buy that Bianca, the whole race thing, because I see other people of color in that company that gets cheered, and people can say I'm wrong. I'm support. No, and maybe Devin's right. Maybe I am a tweener. I'm not a face or a heel. I could be one or the other depending on the show. And today's show feels like I'm on the healer side today. But
You're not
but
a face.
I like IWC. We gotta pump the brakes. Just because listen, I love Bianca Belair, but she's getting booed. I haven't heard any racial. Even here's the thing: if she hasn't felt that it was racist, then why are we talking about it? Back to you.
Thank, yeah, thank you on that one. Because my thing is this: I I can say what I'm seeing on TV. I can talk about it, and I can see that Bianca's being heelish. And then I can do the following though. When I break down this match, I can actually look at everyone and go, yes, my favorite is Rhea Ripley. Who I would love to be beaten up by? Rhea Ripley. Who do I fall in love with? Rhea Ripley. Who do I think is going to win the match? Bianca Belair. Because why? I said to Ladarius today, play the long game. If she is supposed to go heel, let's say we're all trying to figure out everything. Okay? Naomi beats Jade, brings in some heaters. Then in that match with Bianca, Naomi shows up, takes out Rhea Ripley. Bianca takes out Io, wins the title, and makes it like they've been all in cahoots. So that's where I'm saying you can do this with. And it would be great because now you're telling a longer story and you're making Rhea chase as well as Io. So, and not only that, folks, heel Bianca is pretty badass. Kind of want to see her again. She's not a bad wrestler. We all know that. But as a heel, whoo, give her to me. I mean, she is great. All right. But, and I'm saying, I don't mind her reactions on Twitter. I think they are great. They come off as, she's innocent, all this. What did I say earlier about Drew McIntyre? Every great heel promo has to make you go, well, he is right. Like Bianca can say, I didn't do nothing wrong. I won my match. Yeah, you're right. But did you? You see what I'm saying? It's like you can always go back. Now, why did I say this was a bad job by Adam Pearce? Because not just that. Pearce took a note from Chad Gable. I guess he didn't want to get coughed on. But let me put it this way: I've had kids. I have kids, and they're grown now. But I always knew when they were sick and when they weren't. And I batted a good percentage on that one because I knew a work cough from an actual cough. Well, Pierce didn't have that detector. But anyway, Chad Gable volunteered, Americano, Grande Americano. We got to see his debut. Epic music. People were upset about AR. Let me explain something, folks. The worse presentation you could do on this, the better. I wanted black and white footage if you really wanted to push it. But, they did what they did. I loved it. I thought it was funny. The match was entertaining. Him ripping the mask off, I thought was hilarious. And then, of course, we all know a luchador can't do nothing but cover his face once his mask is taken off. So CM Punk, and what I'm going to do is talk about CM Punk, then we'll let Ladarius talk over about those two things. CM Punk talks about the contract signing on SmackDown this Friday. Fans booed, and he goes, yeah, I wish they were here so we could get it over with. But then he starts talking about this fine print and how he wants to see the contract. So, here we go. I think we're getting closer to finding out what this favor is going to be eventually. But, Ladarius, what was your thoughts on the massive debut of Texaco, Texaco, Grande Americano, and
No,
and
no, you had it
Texaco.
right. Texaco, yeah.
Yeah, Texaco Americano. And
This match is
hey,
sponsored by.
Texaco, Grande Americano, be scared. Tessa Blanchard might be giving you a phone call. Just saying. Um, you know,
Want to work
but
together?
just saying.
And
Yeah,
no, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Just say thank you. No, thank you. CM Punk. So, yeah. And what did you think about CM Punk's promo? I thought the CM Punk promo for me was better than the one on Friday night. But what say you?
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I think the promo Monday was better. It felt more personal. It was more interactive, and as opposed to the one on Friday. So, yeah, like I want to add much, but like I just agree. I think that promo was way better. Not saying his promo on Friday was terrible, but the one on Monday, I felt it was more close. It was personal, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm good with that one. That's where El Capitan or what? Like, look, if I think you may have made the point, or it's like it's giving off the vibes of Owen Hart,
Yes.
where like just give him something, give him a character, and just let them do whatever. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you like, oh, is that really? Oh, is that really Chad Gable? Well, I was like, no, it's El Generico American.
Yeah.
Now, could we see El Generico versus El Generico Cap? That's a great match. I'd watch.
Steal my heart, man. I would love it.
I'd watch it. So yeah, listen.
I would love for Sami Zayn to go, I can't make it to WrestleMania this year, but I know a guy. And he said he's gonna be there.
He said, just be in the ring, and all your answers will be solved. So
Ray Phoenix. Let me see a real luchador. El Genetico. He's been saving orphanages the past few years. Oh my god, that would be hilarious. God, I really want to fantasy book that so badly. Intercontinental title match. John, it's Penta versus Braun Breaker. Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna fight. Yeah, what country are we in? It doesn't matter. Yeah,
I like to wrestle everywhere. Yeah.
yeah.
The match ended in a DQ because of the Judgment Day. Uh, I think it was it was Finn actually. Either Finn or it was Dominic. I can't remember. But they ended up putting the boots to him, using the chair, trying to get Penta to. Dominic tried to get Penta to join the dark side, and Penta showed Dom the dark side of the chair by super kicking it to him. Um, but look, if you're telling me we're going to get a fatal four way between Finn, Dom, Penta, and Braun, sign me up. I want to see it. I don't mind. Uh, but what say you? What do you think?
Listen. Simply put, just make this into a fatal four way or trip. I don't care how you do it. Braun versus Penta, and you can have it that way too. It wouldn't be upsetting, but I wouldn't mind if you throw Finn in there again. That'd be fine.
Yeah,
But ideally, you could go triple threat, or I wouldn't have a problem with it because it checks. First of all, it checks boxes. And number two, it's like you're putting legit contenders in there. It's not like just throwing it together for the sake of throwing it together. So I'm not surprised with the DQ, but I feel like Braun may be in a triple threat match for his IC title come WrestleMania time.
is it wrong for me to actually be okay if they took the belt off Braun? Because I
No,
mean,
I
between
you know what? I'd be fine with it.
yeah, between Penta, between Finn, even Dominic, I actually wouldn't mind Dominic winning the belt. I never thought you want to. This is going to be the podcast where of people I brought up names before and went, oh no, hell no, oh this guy ain't that good. Now I'm the guy going, I could see it actually. I mean, honestly, if you work with the guys, you let them work on their craft. Dominic has not been a bad wrestler. He actually is pretty good. Like his matches, he's not bad. He has that little slick Eddie, and he's learned from Ray. So I mean, the family, it's in their genes, for God's sake. So, and it's George probably. Um, I have to say, we're not going to do a full review that we do on NXT, but let's just say this: go watch it because Stephanie Backcourt put on a freaking show. And this is why when you hear me debate about like Mariah May or Saraya or the women, the women of the of free agency or in TNA, I always do the following thing. But we got Bakura in NXT. We got Julia in NXT. There's a lot of good wrestlers there. Jada Parker, So Ruka, Core J. Roxanne Perez we just talked about. I'm just telling you right now. That's why I'm not worried about signing people. Because I look at the future. There's a lot of talent just in NXT. All right. Stephanie Bakor winning. You had Jordan Grace involved because of what happened. Carmen Petrovic. Thank you, Craig. He must be a Carmen guy. My pick to win that Mania would be Braun. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, that's what, we would like. Carmen, yeah. With no Ashante, though. Trick Williams is going into another tweener / heel look. Someone is asking, do we think he might be the guy maybe behind that group? What do you think? Because I could see it.
Yeah. I mean, if you see the tendency and notice who the group has attacked,
yeah,
it makes me kind of believe. Like, I was like, okay, it can't be Ricky Sainz. Wouldn't make sense. Like, I was initially on board. Like, then when they came out again, and I was like, well, they went after Oba. Went after. I think they went after Javon. They went after
they went after Fraxium.
Praxis.
They went after that big dude and China fat guy.
Yeah.
Another.
Yeah, I know you talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they went after then Oba. Oh my God, that Oba one.
Yeah. See,
still
the Oba one made me believe.
Yeah.
Maybe Trick is somebody in that company is behind it. That's the takeaway. Because if it's anything like how it was the last time when it had Mustafa Ali behind, like there's somebody behind it. I don't want to use the word higher power, but there's somebody in that company that's definitely behind it. And super curious to see.
I am too. And NXT. Uh-oh.
Craig, come on.
Speaking of no. Look. Jay, we talked about it. Jay, I think the first botch, we all said that was on him. But the thing is, now they're doing this thing where he's like his head's not in the game, and Jimmy had to be the Mickey of this whole thing. It was like, get your head in the game, Rock. He'll kill you. But unlike Mickey, Jimmy goes and challenges Gunther. And by the way, if I'm booking that match, Gunther needs to beat him down. And no sleeper. I don't want no snuggle sleeper. I want a beat down. I don't want Jimmy to be just no. No sleeper. What do you think about that, by the way?
I don't know how to feel about that. Yeah, I really don't. The Craig's distracting comment, but
I know, that comment is hilarious, by the way. Look, I don't want nothing. I don't want Top Dollar to show up on the next. I just don't.
Yeah. No, does anybody want? I don't know.
I don't think anyone would cheer. Hold on. You would hear Roman Reigns from the back. Yeah, that's what I thought. No pop. Roman Reigns. He should do that for everyone. He got a pop. No pop. Lash Legend, tells Ava that they're not happy about the tag team. By the way, we got to see anytime you see Lash Legend and Jakar Jackson teaming up, and then you got to see that crazy chick Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan. Shawn Michaels, thank you. You are the greatest man in the world that ever lived. Thank you. And Homeboy Slid, Sol Ruka and Zahara in that same match too. Thank you, Shawn. You know what you were doing. Shawn Michaels is feeding generations, folks.
You're doing my job as booking.
Greatest booker that ever lived. Yeah, I said it. He may not be able to see straight, but that's okay. I forgive him. Ricky Saints had an interview with Vic Joseph, but my God, the line of that interview was when Sean Spears looked and said, you know, well, if it doesn't work out here, you can always go back to, oh, yeah, you burned those bridges. And I'm just going, come on! Sean, you're a good man. And by the way, I love another thing. I like that Javon, uh, had the match with Lexus and Oba showed up and they got in a fight. But I'll tell you, if we're getting stand and deliver, we get Oba, Trick, and Javon. I'm not going to be mad. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that just makes the most. I think that's on the path. That's on the path that we're going to get. And look, it's that's going to main event depending on the women's side. If Julia comes back, and it's Julia versus Vaquer, that you can go. I think having that as listen, it's both are main event worthy matches. But as we're speaking now, that would be the main event if you do Oba, Trick, and Javon, without question.
Another line of the night was brought to you by Ricky Saints by saying, he's not the only Canadian that hates me. I heard that line. I said, on this day. I believe Trick Williams is behind the dark state. I could see NXT putting it on. I would not mind that, especially with Trick. Trick could look, those guys, I like what they're doing, but I kind of would like to see someone like kind of. I always love it when there's a faction that shows up and there's someone that you don't know that's behind the scenes. It's almost like one of the best kind of tropes you could play. But that's just me. What do you think on that?
Um, with Trick, you know, I would listen. It would make sense because it would make a whole lot of sense if you go that route for a number of reasons. A, you're leaning more to Trick as the heel, and it would make a lot of sense why the attacks happen when they happen, because the timing of those attacks are not by coincidence.
No, they're not.
Maybe the people, maybe to a certain extent, but not the attacks themselves. There's a reason behind them, and they're making statements. And the biggest statement they made was going after Oba, and whatever his beef is with Javon. For all I know, I think Javon may be suspicious of something, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's why he doesn't want to be Trick doesn't want to be bothered with him.
Yeah,
Oh
trying to
Jesus
push him
Christ!
away.
Trick is tricking us very true.
He's very
Jesus.
tricky. He's tricky. Lou Vega even said so.
Hi, if you're Run DMC, we have a
Trick is tricky.
wait. Why are the
Oh,
lights going?
we're about to lose plot line, folks. I'm sorry. All right. So look, a couple of things I want to talk about before we address Spikegate by AEW. So we know Lex Luger is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. All right. Also announced that the natural disasters will be. Right now, nothing's been official yet, but the word is that Kamala might be inducted into the Hall of Fame, which will be really cool for him.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm hoping because that would actually be a really cool childhood piece on for me. I mean, I remember watching him wrestle, and I was always scared of him at the time. And then when I got older, I went, dude, all you do is slap your belly. You really don't. What does this guy do? I think one of his last matches was with the Undertaker, and he was afraid of the box. Kamala was a trip, man. He really was. I enjoyed watching it back in the day. So I think that be good. But let's talk about Lex Luger because people were saying that there's two people mainly that he would pick to induct. One being DDP, which would be the easy choice. but it looks like he wants the impossible. But I don't think it's that impossible. Personally, he wants a Hall of Famer Sting to be inducted, and if this man is walking to the stage, all I say is WWE, do everything in your power. Just don't, just let Sting be there. Don't. And Tony Khan, if you're a wrestling fan, all right, I'm appealing to your wrestling fan. I'm not appealing to you as a promoter because I think you suck. But as a fan now, do the right thing and let Sting induct his best friend. I mean, they've been through the wars together. They've been through the wars together, and it is one of those things. When you think Sting, you thought of Lex Luger. When you thought Lex Luger, you saw Sting. These guys were always together, especially here in Georgia. Um, and I just think it would be a beautiful moment. I don't know what you think, but look, I know, you take the personal stuff about Luger away. I know, but the man's paid his penance. He's dealt his stuff. What I say to this is he's got a second lease on life and he's lived it. He's trying to recover. I hope to God they get Sting so they can have that moment. That's really all I want to say about that because I've heard and I just look to me it's not about promotions at this point. It's about let these guys have that moment. But what say you, man?
Yeah, I'll just be quick and listen. I agree with everything you said. For the wrestling fan, it makes sense. When you think of Luger, you think of Sting. When you think of Sting, you think of Luger.
Yeah.
So I hope they get it done. For the sake of wrestling fans everywhere, I just hope they get it done. Period.
I mean, and I will say this. Now, the person that's supposed to induct the natural disasters, I have two choices already. It either needs to be Jimmy Hart or it needs to be Cody Rhodes, or better yet, just have Sting do that one too. As in, so he could say, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the Shock Master! And Flair in the back. All right! Oh, God. So, look, they probably will. Look. I think DDP, it's like this. DDP is going to be there, and he's going to pay a tribute to him. But I think for wrestling fans, man, do the right thing. Get Sting involved. Because that's all that needs. And honestly, I get it, John, but this is one of those you appeal to one thing. If I'm Tony Khan, I only ask one question to Sting. Do you really want to do it? If Sting says yes, you don't stand in the way. You just say, go ahead, go for it. I don't care. It's not about production. It's not, because not only that, Sting is a WWE Hall of Famer, whether people wanted to like that or not. So that's the other thing. So, Dick the Bruiser, time is upon us. What we all been waiting for. Oh God, DDP is the one who. Oh, no. You're right, Ray. But look. All I'm saying, these are the guys that Luger wants to induct. He knows about Sting, but he wants to either get Sting or DDP. He knows DDP will do it, but even DDP knows that Sting's the guy that should do it. So it's not even a debate. It's like that's why I tell people, if it's me, oh, you're in. You're going. Yeah, do both. I wouldn't care. Especially with Luger, with what he had to go through. Anyway, I didn't want to make that too long. I wanted to bring that up. Also, WWE is going to be doing a roast. It's not going to be televised. Darn it. So if anyone finds clips and stuff of it, please send it to us so we can watch and enjoy it somehow. That would be awesome. So I don't know anybody in Vegas. So if you know anyone, we're going to spread the word that way. Yeah, I'm now pilfering for coverage because I wish I was there to watch that. Dude, that roast's going to be fun. That's going to think of the guys that are going to be there. Ladarius. Who would you want to hear in that roast?
I mean, you got to have Punk.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have Rollins. you gotta have Paul Heyman. Like if you can't get Paul Heyman, I'm not interested. I'm not if you couldn't book Paul, like those will be the three.
Yep.
If you like, yeah.
All right. So
If you,
CM Punk for sure. I want Cody. Cody's a good shit talker. He's a great shit talker. Give me Cody. He would be a great shit talker. I mean, especially, hold on. The man wrestled at Stardust. He had the grotesque one. He could have some fun with those. I mean, and then if he wasn't a heel, I would say John Cena. But Randy Orton, because he could actually ramble and it would be funny. And Buller, you got to have Bubba. You got to have Bubba. But Bubba Ray would be a trip. All right. The time is now. Moxley's going to end up in a wheelchair if he keeps wrestling the way he's getting hit in the back and with nails, having death matches, bleeding like he does. Great shit talk for a roast. Won't happen, but if we had a fancy book of Jim Cornette, dude, I would be calling Jim like, Jim, we'll buy the plane, bus. What do we got to do to get you to Las Vegas? Come on. And then tell him that he get to make fun of AEW. How this Moxley isn't crippled by is beyond me. All right. So, guys, you know what happened. Look, fatal four-way match. They had what's called Speedball, the orange guy. They had Osprey's buddy, Mark Furball. I can't remember his name. Davis. And the not the ninja, Ricochet. All right. So Ricochet and they did some weird pin and they got both Ricochet and Speedball to go against Kenny Omega. So guess what? Someone's got to lose. Guess it's going to be Ricochet. But that wasn't really bad. I mean, that was actually a pretty okay match. Then they had the women's match. It was okay. Then they did this slop match. And let me tell you, when we watch wrestling. When you have run-ins, you go, okay, I understand. That guy beat up that guy. That guy got beat up by that guy. And then there's ones you go, what the hell are they doing there? I thought they didn't like that guy. Wait a minute, why'd they help that guy? What the hell just happened? Why are they? Oh, what's with the hammer? What the hell? So, if you watch this match and you saw the spot with the nails, the spikes, and they were spikes, look, I'm not squeamish. I've seen some shit. Now, do you look at me and go, C-Dub, do you like deathmatch wrestling? I hate it. I think it's stupid. I understand why they do it, but I can still say it's stupid. I love Jerry. Jerry is a great friend. I love him. He's a brother. I'll back him up. I hate when he does these death matches. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Because you're hurting your body. That's all it is. And it's not worth the payoff. I don't think. Now, if you tell a story and you craft the story around a weapon or something, I understand. All right. I didn't like the Swerve Hangman match because I felt, man, you're going way too over the line. I get the no hold bar. I get all that's ridiculous. But no, I didn't see two young guys fight. I was watching John Moxley and a 51-year-old Adam Cope or Cope Hogan or the Copester, whatever you want to call him. And he brought out this weapon. And all I could think of was, I hope to God they're not going to do something stupid with it. There is no way they're going to do something stupid. And the more I watch the YouTube clip, or not YouTube clip, it was the on X, and I saw the nails in that man's back, Now, personal story time. My back's fucked up. Not because of that. My back is fucked up because I was working at my job, picked up boxes, and I popped a bone and it broke and it ended up cutting on my main nerves in my leg that caused me not to be able to drive. I couldn't walk. Surgery happened. The pain in my driving leg switched to my off leg, which still happens. I still have nerve damage. They said that the bone was it was inches away from that could have caused me to be paralyzed. Why did I just tell you all that? It's simple. This motherfucker had freaking spikes in his back that were Ladarius. You could say it because there's also a person that looked like he was about to cry for John Moxley by because of how deep those things were in his back. Steven Richards was surprised that he didn't go to the hospital or was asking, did he go to the hospital? He needs to get a technic shop because those things weren't. He just, first of all, I would have put those in hot water, boiled them, and tell someone that, yeah, they're still boiling. You don't need it. Keep going. So, look, for all these AW idiots that love this spot, kudos. You like Nick Cage with the pizza cutter on a Domino's commercial, I get it. Me personally, it's not my forte. And here's the thing. When you do stuff like that, you are basically telling your an audience that will be a mainstream audience to basically go F off. We're doing what we do. And when you do that, there's repercussions. I don't. My thing is this: you want to do violence, tell the story, tell it why you're that angry. Why do you have to attack Edge, or why do you have to take out John Moxley like that, Edge? There was no story. It was just you were trying to one up your match from the pay per view. And here's the disgusting part about it. And but there's, I hope you got stuff to say about it too, because but this was what pissed me off. This match was in the middle of the fucking card. It was in the middle of the card. And to just trying to spit in someone's face, they are looking over at Tony Storm going, okay, you're going to close this out, right? Good. This is great. Oh, who are you putting over? Or who are you talking about? Megan Bain. Yeah, the one that no sold Thunder Rosa. Yeah, no problem. She'll work with you. So that's AEW for me. Booking Rise, this show was actually better than last week. But that one spot, man, I'm sorry. It made me furious to see what I saw. I'll give the floor to you, Ladarius. What do you think?
I'm not gonna really say all that much because you covered a lot. My only concern, well, multiple concerns, is just the placing of it in the middle of the card. Like, wouldn't it have been okay to do it at the end of the card or at the beginning? I'm not gonna make judgment, but all I'm gonna say, the core issue is where you place it. Like, this is the middle of the card. Like, for that, if they like it, then I love it. That's simply put. You know, and like John said, like, who are you booking? You need to book what's common sense. Don't book for other people. Book what you feel is right. Is what I always say. Is when you're booking a card, I don't care if you're doing it, whether it's WWE, TNA, New Japan, or even AEW, or even if you play WWE 2K. If you're booking and doing, book a card that makes sense. Because even when you play 2K and you book the stuff that like all the like people like TLC matches and steel cages and all
Yeah.
of that, like it's gonna punish you. Like, your superstars are gonna be hurt quicker. If you do that on a weekly basis, you're gonna have nobody left to legit wrestle. So that's why it doesn't work. Like book with common sense is my biggest takeaway. Just book with common sense. Period.
Exactly. I mean, it's definitely one of those. So, and yeah, definitely for the sickos. I mean, I just TK is doing it for the sickos. TK even admitted himself. He puts yeah. And then the other last piece thing that we'll talk about. So AEW wants to celebrate on April 16th. Well, why is that date important? Because that's going to be the date they officially pass WCW Nitro as the longest reigning show on that network's history. Now, I truly don't give two hells about this because when I saw this and it's almost like, yeah, it's basically to needle, Eric Bischoff. And everyone's like, say, well, you could do that. And some people are like, please, it's stupid. You know what my first thought was? Hmm. So you're celebrating going past the number 2 promotion that went toe to toe with WWE on WrestleMania week. Do we really think we're going to be watched that day? Because let me explain. Monday Night Raw, guarantee you Rock, Cena, and Cody will be involved. Guarantee you a whole lot more action. Oh, NXT on Tuesday. Guarantee you're going to have a whole lot more action and setup for Stand and Deliver. Wednesday, AEW. So what? Friday, SmackDown. We'll sleep through it, but we'll get there. And then we got the champ. Oh, and then the next one is the Hall of Fame. And then, oh, by the way, there's this thing called WrestleMania. That's what I was waiting to hear someone say, and no one has ever brought that up. So, yes, congratulations. That's all you get. You don't get nothing more. All right. Like John Cena says, you get nothing. I mean, look, WCW went toe to toe with WWE. WCW made WWE change. All y'all did with WWE was make sure that they put NXT or focus NXT, and now they're beaten. So, okay, enjoy your little title. You're going to be in Boston, big whoop, but it's WrestleMania week. Don't think a lot of people are going to care. Hey, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. Not going to deny the hustle. But yeah, that was one of their big things they promoted. And I just was like, and then they wanted to act like they did something major with the collision after the NCAA games. I'm like, dude, after the NCAA games, I was tired. I didn't even watch the 10 o'clock games. What about you there, Ladarius?
You know what? You're checking a lot of boxes. I don't know what you need me to say. uh, like I listen. Timing is everything. I believe it. Like eh, I get why you're doing it. Doesn't mean I agree with it, but we'll see how it works out. I'll put it that way. I'll be cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it works out. We'll see. We'll see. I'll leave it like that. We'll see.
Oh yeah, I had to tag you. By the way, I had to tag you guys in a tweet that I just saw. So I just wanted to let you know if you saw it on X. That's what I was doing. You have to roll up. You'll see what I retweeted. For some reason, I just went brain dead. But yeah, yeah. So that's it. We are. Oh, hold on. We got Kenny Omega versus Christian Blake, who never heard of him. Kenny Omega versus the neighborhood jobber. God, John. John, I wish you would tell me how you really feel. Yeah, Christian Blake. I've actually seen him wrestle, but again, I've seen him wrestle in GCW. I've seen him wrestle in all other places. And look, if AEW wants to be the place where they bring indie guys in and let them do their stuff in the match, fine. But let's not try to say you're the head of everything. is just do you find a system and make it your own and just go from there. I just can't get into AEW, man. The stories are awful, and when Cody left and Brandy left, that's when I checked out. And then when CM Punk was gone, then I really was gone because I was just like, because then you saw what I saw was the Bucks becoming who they really were, a bunch of pricks, and it was really awful. So, all right, guys, if you would like to see us tomorrow morning at 10:30, we will be live in Technicolor, if you will. I will write that up and send it up. But yeah, the Morning Madness crew returns. We're going to talk, free agency, just kind of wrap up type deal about how we like what we've seen so far, who are teams that concern us in the division, and also just purposely all around NFL. Ladarius will do his facts of friction, and then we'll have our rants and have a good old time. So, make sure, come on down, check us out on C double 28 and on Ladarius underscore Brown on our YouTube channels, and like, subscribe to the channels. Please leave a comment. We really love to hear from y'all and love the comments. Y'all really came at it on us, so we really love it. We all appreciate you. And with that, let me pass to Ladarius. Shout outs and call outs, and tell us where to find you.
Like I said, just shout out to everybody in the chat, from John to Craig to Devin to Carrie to Rachel. I think I covered every. Chris A1, Dixon Way stopping in.
Yeah, Deb,
Uh, also
right?
thanks to them. It's to you. Great show. You can find me on Twitter and TikTok at Ladarius underscore Brown, Instagram Ladarius double underscore Brown. Right under for Beyond Women's Sports. I'm covering previews for the women's NCAA tournament. I have 4 previews that are going to come out tomorrow for the first set of Sweet 16 games, and tomorrow the other 4 games. I'll have previews for them that will come out as well. Probably on Friday. So there'll be some out today. There'll be some out tomorrow and Friday. Uh, like I say, just all of you be well and safe. And once again, see that. Thank you. Great show.
Awesome, awesome. Real quick, team that surprised you after the first round of tournament games. Who's the team
Well,
that kind of stood out for you so far?
for the men's or women's or
Either one. You could give me both. I don't mind.
a team that's wow, that's a great question. For I guess for the men's, I'm not gonna say surprise. Well, that is tough. Well, I'll stick to the women's. Uh, when I look at the 5 seeds that the 5 seeds that are there.
Hmm.
Ah, mm, man, you make it this hard. I'm gonna say Old Miss. Old Miss is interesting. Old Miss knocked off a very good Baylor team and they're gonna face the top seed in the region in their region in UCLA. That's gonna be an interesting matchup. I think probably one of the best matchup is going to probably be Duke UNC. It's gonna be an interesting matchup. Familiarity there, and for the men, I double down and I say it's gonna be Michigan State or Florida. But Duke is coming. I don't think Duke has played their best ball yet, and
Oh,
we're in the Sweet 16. So like I said, and that's scary to say that Duke hasn't played their best ball. And if you're like if there's value still out there, I can see Duke, but I look at it's going to come down to a balanced team, and Duke looks as good as anybody right now, and Duke and Florida stand out very well, and Michigan State's kind of right behind. Those are the top 3 teams I'm looking at so far from the men's side.
team that I was I actually was really enjoying watching was actually Arkansas. I
Yeah,
couldn't believe that they got through Kansas and then they got through St. John's. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
yeah I'm
yeah. Yeah.
look, and then you what was it? You got this. Yeah, wait a minute. I thought the Zags lost in the men.
I thought they did too. Well, I thought, but going back to your point about Arkansas, like shout out to John Calipari. like he had to really essentially rebuild this roster.
Yeah.
And when he came in, when he came in after Eric Musselman left and took the USC job, he came in, left. He left a very he left Kentucky. He left a very good job, but I think the heat was on him in Kentucky, so he left and he took the Arkansas job and is doing a great job. Knocked out Rick Pitino and St. John's. Had a nice little run. So like I said, this tournament it may not have been full of the upsets, but it's full of teams who are playing the way that they've been playing all season. Like I said, Duke, Florida, and Michigan State are just the three teams I look at and go, like they're hard to beat. And Duke right now is looking, me personally, I lean toward Michigan. A part of me feels like Michigan State because the Big Ten, it's going to be either a Big Ten or an SEC team that wins the national championship.
Yeah.
To me, and that's why I say Duke at some point. And
Duke
Duke
could mess it all up.
making me change my mind. So like I say, a part of the tournament's fun to watch. Like I said, the women's side, look, it's it's sad that Juju Watkins, the Naismith Player of the Year candidate, out of the tournament with an ACL injury, hoping she gets well, and it kind of changes the scope, the tournament, but hoping she recovers and be back this tournament next season.
Exactly. And you hate to see anyone get injured at this time of year.
Yeah.
Really, it's a shame. Um, I I'm going to tell you. I think the games that's going to be in Georgia. I want to say Michigan State. I forgot who they're playing, and then I know Michigan, and I want to say Florida are
Yeah,
playing.
Florida's going to play my Maryland, and that's going to be, I think, again, it's going to be very defensive.
Oh
I
yeah.
think if you look at the way Maryland plays, Florida's offense is one of the best in the country. Walter Clayton Jr. and those guys. So it's going to be
Don't leave
that
him open
one.
for a second.
Like if you're betting it, I haven't looked at this, but if you're a betting person, look at the spread and go an idea. Like you could go straight up, probably the better option if you feel confident. But just looking at overall, that's a tough matchup. And look, I just like Michigan State. I look at head coaches and Tom Izzo. It's not even close in terms of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like he brings multiple Sweet 16s. I know he's been to I believe eight Final Fours. He's been there, done that. And I think with this team that he has, I wouldn't be shocked if we see them in the Final Four again.
You know, Tom is when it comes to Izzo, you can't. It's like Izzo. And I actually would love to see Carl Perry get through, especially with this team. What he's done with this team, very. Kentucky's actually impressed me too. What
Yeah,
they've done, and it's almost like Kentucky just they went for a guy that's totally not their style compared to the others. So, and then the ladies' regions, look, my heart dropped for that girl, for Juju. It really did. I mean, I know some people have said some things about her personally, but personally, I don't. You know me. I'm more like, what do you do on the field? And like I said, if you're hurt, I just hate for that to happen for your season. So there you go. You got a little NCAA talk on Wrestle Take. Who'd thought? So anyway, also did a hashtag on the post that I did. So just we're going to try to get that going too. Hashtag Wrestle Take. And we can't wait for next week. We got another early show. Well, so SmackDown is going to be in London, but of course it's on USA. Unless you got a VPN. And look, make sure you get your bed rest. You know, 3 o'clock is a hard time. And you might get tired. You might need a nap. You might need your blankie and a bottle. Just go ahead and get that together. Jack Daniels preferably with or split malt liquor, whatever you prefer, or a bottle of milk, whatever. And then on Monday Night Raw, or Monday afternoon, and I'm going to tell you, I wanted to talk about this, but we'll probably talk about it after this show. International shows, good thing, bad thing. What do we think? Because I love them, but it brought some interesting conversations, and I kind of want to bring it to our show because I think it's something that we can talk about, especially now that they're going to be returned to the States and see how that does too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, brother. Hmm, anything you want to plug or talk about before we head
I
out?
think I plugged. I think I plugged everything. I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think I did.
All right, well, C28 channel on YouTube, Ladarius Brown on YouTube. Also, check out our girl Carrie, Carrie Lynn XOXO, I believe it is, on Twitter. She's always coming up with some good stuff. She's been posting some real good stuff lately. John Brooks, thank you so much. International shows are a good thing. I just can't understand what they're changing. Don't feel bad. I'm the same way, especially when there's some people going, and I'm looking at Ladarius going, it's like if I was a wrestler, I'd be like this. What the are you saying? What did you call my mom? And with that, folks. Anyway, I'm C Double. That's Mr. Laddie Daddy. See y'all 10:30. We gonna be talking some football and some other stuff. Who knows? We out. Doo-doo-doo.